What an experience for his home debut, Solanke.
Well, he's going to get a real flavour, isn't he, of what this fixture's all about and what it's like to pull on a Spurs jersey at home. And there's a lot of pressure on them today, and certainly on him to perform, as you've already mentioned.
And Arsenal are without Martin Odegaard, the captain, who is injured. Declan Rice suspended. That is a huge loss. So Jorginho and Martinelli come into the side for those two. Raya in goal, White, Saliba, Gabriel and Timber, then Jorginho with Partey and Havertz, then Saka and Martinelli wide and Trossard through the middle. And what an early test of Arsenal's title credentials this continues to be. They won at Villa, they dropped points against Brighton. Next Sunday Arsenal go to Manchester City, but now Jared Gillett blows his whistle and Arsenal in the all-black kit, so it's not red and white, it's a black kit that Arsenal are playing in today against Tottenham in their home colours, the white shirts with the blue trim and blue shorts and white socks. And Arsenal getting the match underway, throwing down the right-hand side, Rice takes it, and already Van de Ven has to leap forward and head it behind the dead ball line for the first corner of the match with less than 30 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, a little bit of shaky start from Spurs, actually. Long ball, Van de Ven doesn't deal with it, and then Arsenal, when it goes out of play, take the quick early throw over the top, and Van de Ven just has to rather clumsily head it out for a corner. And we know how good Arsenal are at set pieces, and actually in the past how poorly Spurs have defended these situations in this fixture.
Yeah, Arsenal 22 goals from set pieces last season in the Premier League. Saka to take this, the star Arsenal man here inside the home of Arsenal's greatest rivals. Saka raises his right arm, left-footed corner into the near post. That's headed away, good distance on that, but Arsenal back on it. Jorginho plays it through and an important header down, and they should clear Tottenham. They do. Up the left wing, Pedro Porro, and Arsenal back in possession inside their own half as David Raya's ball downfield is cut out by Maddison on the halfway line. First Tottenham attack, Kulusevski goes down rather easily, I must say, but he's got the free kick. Referee Gillett says, yep, 15 yards inside the Arsenal half, free kick Tottenham.
A good tussle with Saliba and Solanke as well. That's going to be an interesting match-up there. I mean, Solanke, you mentioned before, playing against the meanest centre-back partnership in the Premier League, in my view. It's going to be a lot of physical contact, a lot of jostling for position, and it's certainly started in that fashion.
Well, they were exciting matches last season, weren't they? Ange Postecoglou's first season, the 2-2 draw at Arsenal, when Arsenal led twice in that match, and Son twice equalised, and then here in April, when Arsenal were 3-0 up at half-time, and Spurs staged a bit of a comeback, but Arsenal won it in the end by 3-2. So Postecoglou not yet won a North London derby as the Tottenham manager. I think we were at those matches, weren't we, the two of us together?
David Raya got a little bit lax with the ball, didn't he? Gave away a first goal for Spurs and then put a bit of pressure on Arsenal in that one after being comfortable at 3-0.
Son out to Johnson on the right-hand side, back it comes to Bentancur. The Uruguayan has a look over his shoulder as he receives that back from James Maddison. A couple of assists already for Maddison. This is only Tottenham's second match here this season. Remember the 4-0 win against Everton? It was a 5 live commentary match on the second Saturday in the Premier League. Cross in from the right-hand side, goes all the way over to the left-hand side. Son gets this under control. Son, excellent scoring record against Arsenal. Just shields the ball, shields it, takes it away and passes it under pressure. Back up the line, Ben White was right there, as close as he could get to the Tottenham captain. Back it goes into the centre circle.
I think that's one of the best matchups on the field today as well. Ben White versus Son. I think that's brilliant. Ben White handled him really well there, but that's going to be an interesting duel.
Yeah, Son, 8 goals in North London derbies. Now the ball from the right-hand side from Havertz, but that's cut out, took a deflection, and there's a foul by Martinelli, and it's a free kick for that challenge on Pedro Porro. Free kick to Tottenham on the edge of their own penalty area. Indeed, since Mikel Arteta became the manager of Arsenal back at the end of 2019, Son has scored more Premier League goals against his Arsenal team than anyone else. He's got 7 of them in that time. And of course, Arteta having just signed the new contract this week. Interesting timing, I thought. It was coming, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And they announced it a couple of days before the North London derby. It's not scientific, but my instinct seems to tell me that very often managers lose their next match after signing a new contract.
Is that a study? Is that a study that you've done, John?
It's not a study at all. It's what's known as instinct.
Okay.
It just often seems to happen. You'll never get stats on that.
Yeah, no.
Throw-in that Maddison takes back into Mickey van der Ven. So Dragoshin is on the bench today. Van der Ven is back. Obviously, very important Van der Ven in the way that Tottenham play under Postecoglou.
Huge. It really does change things.
Tottenham with it, with Solanke. Solanke manages to get it to Son, cuts it back, shot at the near post. The arriving Kulusevski on his left foot, but a good save by Raya. It was more or less straight at him, but it was from close range, and Raya keeps Kulusevski out.
Well, it's just worked brilliantly. I love the movement of Son, comes from the outside to in as Solanke takes the ball wide and then sees the run on the inside. Son gets there, chops it back to the edge of the 6-yard box line. And Raya, yes, it's a comfortable save. He doesn't get too much power on the hit, Kulusevski, but lovely move from Spurs.
I think it was the classic either side of him. It would have been in the net. So it's a corner, Tottenham's first corner. Maddison deep, Raya's gone for it, and he's made the right decision. Backpedaled all the way across his 6-yard box, all in pink he is, caught it, and then overarms it out, but it's tidied up for Tottenham by Bentancur, who got there first, and then the ball back to the right-hand side. A raking pass. Solanke did well, actually, to get his head to it. He was reversing at speed, Solanke, when the pass came his way, and Tottenham still in possession. In the first half here, as we look from this brilliant position, high in the top tier, front of the top tier, on the dressing room side of the ground, Tottenham are attacking from right to left, and here they are, doing exactly that with Udogie, who loves to do this, the left back, but then miscontrols it, and it's cleared away by Ben White, out of play, just next to where Mikel Arteta is standing. All in black down there, including that jet black, greased back hair of his. Here's Udogie, back to Maddison. Maddison curls a pass right out towards the right-hand side. Romero is there, scored in both of those matches last season, one of them an own goal, as it's played forward down the right, and Johnson wins a corner off Timber.
Well, you just feel the game might be won or lost in those wide areas. I mean, I'm looking at Saka that made that brilliant track back on Udogie a moment ago. Martinelli doing his defensive duties with Johnson going for a 1-2 behind him. I think defensive responsibility wide is going to be massive for both teams. So
it's a corner, Tottenham's second corner, this one from the right, in it comes to the near post. That's headed away by Havertz. Comes out to Porro, gives it back out to the right, in it comes a little flick, saved by Raya. Important flick at the near post, which took it across the 6-yard box. Whether that flick from, I think it was Johnson, was going in or not, I'm not sure, but Raya, wary of the fact that Tottenham had, I think, Solanke at the back post, he had to claw it away, and he did, to comparative safety.
Well, there was a lot of bodies, weren't there? It was one of those where it got cleared and then came back in as a second phase. There's a lot of bodies coming out of the box, and it just going through all sorts of legs and arms and shoulders, and it was a sharp reaction from David Raya. Yeah,
I think it was Johnson who got there. Here's Kulusevski now on the edge of the area, into the box, left foot shot, but there were defenders there. It was blocked away, and between them, I think it was Gabriel who got the crucial block there. There were a couple of Arsenal defenders, but Gabriel threw himself into the way of the Kulusevski shot just inside the area and blocked it, and Arsenal cleared 0-0.
Well, Arsenal having to weather the storm at the moment. It's a little bit rocky, they're under pressure, they need to keep the ball a little bit. They've given it away a couple of times a little bit loosely. They need to get a hold of the ball and just steady the crowd down a little bit. It's very high tempo from Spurs.
Oh, that's nice from White to Saka. Saka's ball across the Tottenham penalty area, stretching away by the right foot of Pedro Porro. Now it's turned back by Timber to the left-hand side, comes back to Timber, he nods it beyond Martinelli. Cheers from the Tottenham fans, out for a throw to the home side.
Should be a better chance, shouldn't it? Saka, that classic run from out, the ball played straight in between the fullback and the centre-back for Saka, got the run on his opponent in that position. Udogie gets behind him, and really, for me, that's a great goal-scoring opportunity. He can't quite find the pass. I don't think Trossard was quite in position, and Martinelli hadn't got inward enough into that back post area for a tap-in, but if he had been in that position, it was a great movement from Saka.
Well, if you've just switched onto us on 5 Live, I hope you're enjoying the wonderful noise from inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for the North London Derby. The 4th league match of this season brings for Tottenham and Arsenal the big one, and it is 0-0. If you're on the move on this lovely afternoon At least it is here in North London. Remember, you can listen to 5 Live via BBC Sounds. Take us wherever you go. Maddison through to Son, 30 yards out, turns, sets off goalwards on one of those runs, but Partey puts in the challenge. Udogie those. Means that Tottenham are still in possession. We'll have a choice of listening as well right now. 5 Live with the Premier League, and the T20 live from Old Trafford will be on Sports Extra. Starts at 2:30. Solheim Cup later, and then the NFL as well on Sports Extra tonight. Here is Udogie. Son challenged. White in on Son. It's given as a free kick.
Yeah.
Free kick to Spurs.
I'm not sure, but I think Ben White looked like he just got to the ball first, but the referee, Jared Gillett, didn't seem to think so. Just looking at the replay, I think Son tries to just nick it off him, and yeah, White doesn't get the ball. Son goes down, and just to give you a feel of this game, I think Spurs are 70% possession so far in this game, which would give an indication that Arsenal very much are on the rocks here at the moment.
Free kick to Tottenham. Arsenal have not lost away from home in the Premier League in 2024. They've actually not been behind in a Premier League match in 2024 away from home.
That's remarkable.
Which is a remarkable fact. But I say that because Tottenham have got this free kick here on the left and a chance to put an end to all that. Maddison standing one foot in front of the other, off the pitch, now onto the pitch. Right-footed free kick, that's a poor one from Maddison. And it is half volleyed away to the halfway line and then headed out by Udogie. So it's a throw into Arsenal, looking quite unfamiliar in this kit for this match.
It's a strange one, isn't it, for the North London derby? You just expect the red, wouldn't you, in a fixture of this size, but opportunity to wear the black kit.
I think it is that the reason given for it is that sort of clash of colours for people who are colourblind.
Okay.
So that's the official reason. Throw-in taken on the halfway line, and Raya rather slices that, but Havertz heads it down the line. But Udogie's going to play it back to goalkeeper Vicario. The Solheim Cup actually is currently on Sports Extra because it is raining in Manchester at the cricket. So it's not a beautiful September afternoon everywhere, as often tends to be the case when you're in one place. Tottenham, Arsenal, Vicario playing it out to Bentancur. Neither Sarr nor Bissouma. Obviously Bissouma can't play because he was injured on international duty, as Brennan Johnson goes down, and I think Timber landed on top of him, which is obviously something you wouldn't necessarily want.
No.
And it's a free kick to Spurs. It's a free kick to Spurs inside their own half.
Yeah, I think he just grabs a hold of him and then Johnson trips him, but the arm is around Johnson as he releases the ball, and it's that fullback one where if a player pops it off, you get your arm out just to try and block him running the other way, and he does that, and then Johnson kind of pulls him and there's a little bit of a tussle. The referee goes over, waggles his finger in Timber's face to say, don't do that again.
Tottenham get it moving again, forward. Might have come off Udogie's hand, it did. It's a free kick to Arsenal in their own right-back position. So for Arsenal today, if you weren't listening earlier, the substitutes bench, 3 17-year-olds and 2 18-year-olds, although the very, very highly rated Waneri is one of them, and there was some talk that he might actually play in this match today, but there's no Gabriel Jesus yet. Zinchenko is now on the injured list, he's got a calf problem. No Calafiori, Marino's got this shoulder injury, but Raheem Sterling is there on the substitutes bench. Did you think he might start today?
No, didn't think he would start, because I think, Trossard, Martinelli, who's going to be in that area, they're going to get the nod ahead of Raheem Sterling at the moment.
And Neto is on the bench, the on-loan goalkeeper. Foul, which is given for Son's challenge on Saliba. You can hear how that's gone down on the halfway line in front of the two coaches. So I've got a feeling that Arteta might have reacted, hence that reaction from the Tottenham fans inside the ground. Free kick is given, and Arsenal play it back to Saliba, who then rolls it all the way back to David Raya, the man who kept more clean sheets than anyone else in the Premier League last season, the Golden Glove winner, the man with the biggest hands in football. He's got the ball at his feet at the moment, puts his foot on it, then passes it out to Partey. Tottenham have got the press on, Maddison, and then it's given away, deflection by White. Solanke, chance gone. Excellent cover there, Gabriel, Oh no, Saliba it was who stepped in. Yeah, stepped in just as Solanke, maybe a couple of yards inside the box, was looking for it to open up for him, and Saliba snuffed it out.
That's what I'm saying about what Solanke's playing up against this afternoon. It's top class. I mean, it's sloppy from Ben White, but the reaction of Saliba was absolutely superb. He identified the danger straight away, sprinted, got across, and what I like, he put the brakes on and didn't dive in too much.
And here's Timber away for Arsenal on the left-hand side. He's got some space onto his right foot. The cross to the back post, headed back across the box, and that was fortunate there for Udogie, who got his head to it, that he didn't head it straight to an Arsenal man. Saliba now is picked up for a foul on Solanke, and he's picked up the ball and he's run away with it, and he's yellow carded for that. And there was an inevitability that he would be booked for that. And Maddison's wanting to take a quick free kick, but Jared Gillett is still talking to Jorginho, who is the Arsenal captain.
It's a delicate subject, isn't it, around the Arsenal camp, the old kicking the ball away. Ask Declan Rice how he feels, and I think the referee, I mean, they've got to follow the same standards, and if they do, Saliba makes the foul. In fact, the problem is, for me, I'm not sure it is a foul. I think he fairly goes for that ball and he outmuscles Solanke, which is why he's a bit aggrieved that he gets penalised. But then you can't pick the ball up when the opposition are running towards the ball to take a free kick. You can't pick the ball up and run away with it and then drop it further away. So the referee has no choice but to follow the rules, John.
We know, Matt. We saw it before the internationals.
Yeah.
We saw it yesterday.
Yeah, they have to maintain the standard.
Are red hot on this at the moment, and that was he was good.
Yeah.
Mikel Arteta apparently had his head in his hands.
Yeah, I don't think it's a foul though. I think that's the biggest problem. I'm not sure that was a foul. I think he just outmuscled Solanke and he's been very aggressive in this opening period, Saliba.
And it was a brilliant block. That was a textbook piece of central defending. I mean, you would appreciate that, your old position.
Yeah, because he doesn't. When you're full stretch and it's a little bit of desperation because you've given the ball away on the edge of your own box, you get the tendency to really dive in, and then Solanke, it just makes his mind up to either chop the other way or go past him, but he puts the brakes on and just eases into that block to perfection, really, which made Solanke look like he didn't take the opportunity, which probably was the case.
It's Tottenham 0, Arsenal 0, but it was a chance for Solanke, as I say, looking to open his account on his second appearance, his home debut for Tottenham after his big money move this summer. And Arsenal, a little lovely ball in to Timber. Timber shot into the edge of the legs of Romero just outside the 6-yard box. It rebounds all the way to the halfway line, and Saliba shrugs off Kulusevski, and I think there's going to be foul by him. He is, but Tottenham are up in arms that Arsenal have been given this free kick, which they're going to organise themselves to take. So let's get another update on how Dan Evans is getting on at the Davis Cup in Manchester from Russell Fuller.
Great Britain need to beat Canada 3-0 to stay in the Davis Cup. Dan Evans lost the first set 6-0 to Denis Shapovalov, but it's 4 games all in the second. I'm in North London Derby football commentary mode, John.
You are, and Havertz here with a chance to open the scoring for Arsenal. Cross from the left-hand side, got up well, but a good save from Vicario diving to his right to parry it, and there was a defender there as well, and they were able to collect it.
Well, Arsenal were just killing the right side of the back four for Spurs at the moment. Porro and Romero not coping with the movement. Martinelli, Timber so advanced up the pitch, creating some really good opportunities on that far side, and Havertz very nearly heading home.
Tottenham on the attack. We're going to go to Virginia as well in a moment to find out how things have started for Europe at the Solheim Cup. The commentary right now on Sports Extra with the cricket having been delayed. Here's Son, though, turns away from White down the left-hand side into the full-back position. There is cover there from Partey, and so he has to use Udogie at close quarters. Udogie puts his foot on it, gives it back to the orange boots of Son on the left-hand side. Then a touch from Maddison. Maddison then all the way back to the centre circle to Christian Romero, who picks out Rodrigo Bentancur. Bentancur is very congested in there, black shirts, white shirts, and then down goes Bentancur. No free kick. Arsenal break away down the left-hand side as it's knocked back centrally to Jorginho. Now here's Trossard. Trossard not really been in the game, but that's a lovely ball through to Martinelli, into the box, goes for goal, and it's saved by Vicario, and Saka in the middle says, what about me?
Super play. Trossard was different class here, dropped short. Martinelli spinning in behind, lovely threaded ball, inch perfect into his feet. He's got to do better there, Gabriel Martinelli. We talk about his end product, not being at the level it needs to be. It's the reason why Trossard's knocked him out of the team when everyone's fit, and he doesn't start Martinelli, but just because he just doesn't make the most of those situations. It was a great opportunity, coming inside with his right foot, really tame effort, straight at Vicario, simple save.
Right to Virginia now in the United States. Ian Carter, is there any sign of the miracle that Europe need?
Well, Charlie Hull's off to a good start. She's birdied the second to put blue on the board. One up on Nelly Corder in what looks like it's going to be a firecracker of a match. But Megan Kang winning the first hole against Emily Pedersen. So Europe up in one, the Americans up in one. Remember, America needing just 4.5 points to win back the Solheim Cup.
Yeah, lots of coverage over the coming hours, and the commentary right now on Sports Extra. It'll be on 5 Live later. So there is, as we mentioned earlier, there's no 6:06 tonight. Robbie and Chris will be back next weekend. Tottenham 0, Arsenal 0, and here is Kulusevski on the right hand side. Kulusevski, big chance that was for Martinelli, you know, from an angle, left side of the area, with Saka in the middle.
You know, when you're a right footer coming in on the left, you don't get a better angle than that, John, do you? You're running through, bearing down on goal, you've got a lovely angle just to feed it, bend that ball into the far post, and he just executed it really poorly.
Tottenham through the middle to Solanke, and then Bentancur to Johnson on the right hand side. Johnson challenged, it bounces back to Bentancur, and now Romero just shuffles the ball forward. Maddison then to the right hand side. Bentancur is there again. Bright sunshine now, shadows being cast across the big broad stripes of the grass at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as Tottenham pass it forward towards Maddison, who turns out to the right hand side, gets the cross in, which took a deflection, which takes it high, and then Raya's being challenged on the goal line by Solanke. Too physically, says referee Gillett. He couldn't blow his whistle quickly enough for that challenge. What do you think?
Don't you think the game would be better if you could actually shoulder charge the goalkeepers into the net like you used to?
I mean, surely they've gone over the line, that.
Yeah. Well, it was close, but it was that old school centre forward bouncing the goalkeeper into the back of the net, holding the ball, wasn't it? It was one of those, and like you say, referees are very quick to blow the whistle for protection of the goalkeeper.
Yeah. Young people listening might want to go back and have a look at the Watford-Everton FA Cup final when Andy Gray challenged Steve Sherwood, I think it was, wasn't it? As Tottenham have the ball in their own penalty area, but the Arsenal press is on, and Saka forces the error from Van der Ven, who passes out of play for a throw-in down the right-hand side that White takes. He's looked for that throw-in. In fact, he did that in the first minute for Saka, and this time it's Udogie who touches it behind for a corner.
Second time, they're not tuning in when the ball's out of possession on that throw-in. Ben White's looking to just lob the ball over the top of Udogie into Saka, who has been bright as a button with his movement so far in this first half.
Do you remember that cup final?
No.
Were you there? 80s. Well, I wasn't there. I was still at school.
Oh, you might have been.
It's a corner for Saka. Saka, left-footed. Arsenal have got players dotted all around the Tottenham penalty area. This is very much the set-piece specialists. As Saka plays it in, and Vicario under pressure palms it away. Trossard with a shot, that's blocked inside the penalty area. It's worked back out to Saka. Saka left-footed curls it in, that's a real teaser, and it's headed back across the face of goal, but with no power, and Vicario was able to spin away to his left and catch it.
You just feel that this game is going to hinge on a set play or something like that. Arsenal looking a real threat, certainly on corners.
A long pass through the middle, that was just about dealt with by Gabriel and Ben White together. Kulusevski very nearly found a way through between them there from that long clearance from Vicario. That was right back out of the early 80s as well.
It was. I think it's something, again, they know how Arsenal throw their big headers forward, so if Vicario can get a hold of the ball off of a corner in his hands, that Spurs must have been working on the fact that if you can kick that ball long over the top and cause a problem straight away, then do it. And Kulusevski saw the space and got on his bike, and Vicario very nearly found him.
Arsenal playing it out with Partey to Havertz. Havertz now motors forward, and then it's miscontrolled inside his own half by Ben White, and that just bounces out for a throw-in on the halfway line.
Arsenal coming back into the game a bit, John, aren't they? Starting to get a bit more of the ball. You expect that first opening 5 to 10 minute, certainly here away from home, it's going to be really tough for you. They've come through that and now starting to gain a little bit more in confidence with the ball.
As Solanke is challenged by Saliba, and that has given us a free kick. So this is 15 yards inside the Arsenal half. Maddison takes it early, looking for Johnson, who got a touch to it, but that takes it wide, and Timber has gone out there with him as well. And then Johnson kept it in, played it back up the line. There's no flag over there. Did wonder whether it might have gone out, but the assistant on the far side, James Manring, says no, it didn't. He'll have been looking right up the line there. And so Tottenham take it back towards the halfway line. Tottenham 0, Arsenal 0. Son almost with his heels on the left touchline, down to our left. Son, then back to Maddison. Maddison looks up but goes square to the tall, bearded Uruguayan Bentancur, who's been in the news after that controversial interview that he gave, and he's actually facing an FA charge for the comments he made about his teammate Son. And now here is Porro, who knocks it back to Romero, stationed 10 yards inside the Arsenal half, then through the middle. That bounced off Solanke. Lovely flick there by Kulusevski, but it was cleared away towards the halfway line, and Tottenham will have to start again. Mentioned the Solheim Cup, also the Irish Open. The final round of the Irish Open is unfolding at Royal County Down, where Rory McIlroy still leads on 8 under par. That looks quite spectacular there. Here's Porro now on the overlap, but Porro's cross too close to goalkeeper Raya at his near post, diving back to his post, caught the ball and then quickly got rid of it, played it forward, but that's short from Havertz, and Udogie was onto that in a flash, and Udogie's ball in slightly behind Kulusevski, surrounded by Arsenal players, works it back to Udogie, takes a deflection as the challenge came in from Gabriel. Unfortunately for Arsenal, that deflection took it back to Raya, and the danger had gone.
Well, this game is everywhere at the moment.
Solanke and Kulusevski now just outside the area, and then a foul by Udogie on Saka. And Arsenal, I think, will just... In fact, a yellow card for Udogie.
Slow down. I mean, David Raya twice has just rolled the ball. I mean, it's been really clever distribution, but they're not giving Arsenal a chance. They're soaking up a lot of pressure. He's winning the ball, and then within 2 seconds, bang, he's back in play. And I just think this break in play is a yellow card for Udogie with a challenge, and Arsenal happy just to let it settle down a little bit. It was getting a bit frantic, but that challenge from Gabriel, John, just to describe it, it'd slide past, and I think it cut inside, and it was going to be a certain goal, but his trailing leg just caught the ball and almost knocked it up against, I think it might have been Solanke or Kulusevski in the position, and it just spun up in the air for David Raya.
Oh, given away, seized back by Maddison. Kulusevski now rides the challenge. No, he doesn't. Saliba comes out with the ball quite brilliantly. I thought he was through there, and there were options either side with Tottenham pouring forward, but now it's Arsenal as Trossard's pass infield just presents it back to Spurs, and Van de Ven's going on one of those runs, and Van de Ven plays it beyond Maddison, but down the left wing for Son, who's able to trot after it, and then Son flicks it in inside the penalty area. Maddison curls it all the way to the back post, a stretching header back across, goal drops wide of the post. I mean, Johnson Solanke somehow got his head to that, to nod it back across goal. I don't think it was ever threatening to drop in, but even so, Raya was scrambling and probably was relieved to see it.
He wasn't sure. I don't think the goalkeeper was sure, but I mean, these players, that is very close on the replay. I mean, that's a couple of inches wide. That is very nearly looping into that back post, but these players are blowing at the moment, John. I'm telling you, we're 27 minutes in, the pace of the last 10 minutes, it's been a slugfest, isn't it? Nobody's interested in keeping possession, instead it is just going at each other toe for toe. Fantastic to watch, but I don't know how long it can continue. Sooner or later it's got to simmer down a little bit.
Almost half an hour played. Tottenham 0, Arsenal 0. And I mean, it is a warm afternoon here. Summer is back in North London.
Yeah.
I was in Hyde Park this morning. It was absolutely lovely.
Jogging?
I was.
Were you?
Yeah. It was lovely.
Hamstring all right?
Thanks for asking. Yes, it is.
Fine, yeah.
Yeah, you did the trick there.
Just stretching off beforehand.
No further problems to report. Throw in that Ben White takes back to Saliba, and then Raya controls it, and the Arsenal goalkeeper downfield, Havertz, the tall Havertz, gets up, wins the header, then it's back to Martinelli, who tried to find Havertz. Important sliding challenge on the edge of the area from Van de Ven, and then Tottenham sees it back. Romero plays it into the path of Kulusevski, who is marauding downfield for Tottenham Hotspur. Johnson over there in the orange boots goes back centrally, and then Bentancur and Arsenal are now all right back in position. I must ask you how you think that they're managing Arsenal without Rice and Odegaard, because under Arteta now, it's such a rare sight to see them without one or both of them. In fact, Rice has been involved in every Premier League match Arsenal have played since he signed for the club.
Yeah, it doesn't carry the same physicality, do they, in that middle, which is a big problem. I mean, that was a great interest. Jorginho gets to the ball, does well, but then just gets a little bit bumped off it. The possession turns over. I feel someone like Rice, he just, gets hold of that ball and he doesn't give it up. He's got that physical presence and drive that just makes it happen a little bit more. So out of possession today, Arsenal are a different animal for sure.
Yeah. And this is Jorginho's first appearance of the season as Tottenham, with the cross from the right-hand side, but that's over everyone. But Son prevents it from going out of play. Son then picks out Udogie on the edge of the area to Maddison. Maddison, very congested in there, drags it back, gives it to Son. He curls it in, but over the Arsenal goalkeeper. Johnson's gone down under the challenge from Timber, but the ball was already away and behind. And the shouts, such as they were from the stands, are ignored by referee Gillett. It's a goal kick and it's still 0-0. Matt Upson.
Yeah, it was never a threat for a penalty or anything. I think just Timber's holding his position. Is his arm a little bit around Johnson? Yes, but he's entitled to stand his ground and just make that contact at the back post. Defenders do that, just like to feel like you're close enough to affect the opponent's run, and he does that well.
So we're still waiting for the opening goal. We've also got commentary later on Wolves-Newcastle. Rangers did win. If you just switched on, Rangers won 1-0 with the goal from Tom Lawrence at Dundee United, and Portsmouth-West Brom will be underway at 3 o'clock in the Championship. We'll keep you updated on that during the course of the afternoon. But Tottenham 0, Arsenal 0 as Gabriel plays the ball back to Raya, who was often a run outside the penalty area, but there was no one there for Tottenham to take advantage when the ball went one way and Raya went the other. So Arsenal have it quite comfortably, and then here's Havertz, who is being eased into by Bentancur and then goes down, and
wow,
yellow card for Bentancur. Now, did he see just a little kick at him in there?
I think he was a little bit keen in the first instance. He had a little kick out at Havertz, who rode the tackle, and then he came back. There was 2 fouls in one, really, and I think the referee might have looked at it and gone, that's just too much, I'm going to get the yellow card out. But Bentancur was really surprised, but he did make an initial kick out, like you mentioned, John. He wasn't going to win the ball, but Havertz stayed on his feet.
So it's a free kick to Spurs, to Arsenal near the halfway line, or just over half an hour played. Mention the fact that Arsenal won here in April. They've won their last 2 North London derbies here at the Tottenham Stadium. Spurs just 1 win in their last 7 against Arsenal. Havertz on the right, Saka, then back to Ben White, goes cross-field, the pass right to the feet of Martinelli, who controls it. 2 Tottenham defenders in front of him. Timber is now taking possession of the ball. Martinelli is backed away out to the left-hand side, does well, works it to Timber into the box, but across comes Bentancur to block it behind for an Arsenal corner from the left.
It was nice, wasn't it? Lovely interchange, delaying the pass, waiting for the movement of Spurs. They're having trouble, Spurs, with that Arsenal left-hand side. The right-back Porro and Romero, I think they're really struggling to get to grips with the movement, but there has been some clever passing from Arsenal, and they've now got an opportunity to put a corner in, and they gather all at the back post. Spurs are a mixture of zonal, and they've got some man-to-man in there with Gabriel, Havertz, Timber, Partey, all standing right at the back of the 18-yard box and will run to the front post.
That's what they're doing now. It's a packed 6-yard box as it comes in, and Vicario went for a punch, missed it completely, and referee Gillett says it was a touch. Well, Vicario's saying that no one got a touch, but the referee said he's clearly seen a Tottenham touch in some shape or form.
He touched it.
Water's gone for a Burton. Yeah, I thought, it's all right, I've saved it.
He definitely touched that, Vicario, for sure. I know he was complaining that he didn't, but he put his left glove up. He didn't get too much of a touch on it, not enough than what he hoped to, and it certainly glanced off his fist.
It poured all over the television screen. I was worried it was going to explode. It's all right now. Corner then from the other side for Arsenal. Saka is waiting to take this. He's just off the pitch. Referee Gillett is speaking to Gabriel and Romero. And then they move away and say, yes sir, yeah, absolutely. And then they move away and start wrestling
Straight into a grapple.
Both hands on each other. Saka then, all movement in the 6-yard box. It's played in short this time. That was clearly worked on the plan there, but it didn't work because Pedro Porro was in like a flash and cleared it away and ran after it downfield. Forward again from Raya, still 0-0. 10 minutes to go to half-time. It's been very entertaining, I must say, but
absolutely
yet to provide a goal. Trossard as well, picks out Martinelli. Martinelli now into the penalty area, running at Porro, but Porro gets a foot on that, and then he actually runs into Kulusevski, which very nearly gave the ball back, and Spurs, Bentancur just got there, and then passes it to Kulusevski, who's under pressure, and Arsenal with Timber, and then Timber in on the challenge on Porro. That's a free kick. Timber is a judge, and he's still going. Here. Timber. And the yellow card is already out, and then now it's all flaring up now. This is classic North London derby anger between the players of Tottenham and Arsenal. That challenge from Timber, and now general milling around, pushing, shoving. Almost every player is involved in this, apart from Porro, who's lying in a heap after that challenge from Timber. It's only going to be a yellow card. The Tottenham fans in that huge south stand behind where all this is happening are all clamouring for a red card. Yeah. But referee Gillett has, I think, managed to calm it all down, and now Vicario and Gabriel are having a set to. It's just a discussion, but Vicario is suggesting that Timber went into that with an outstretched leg, and so VAR will be looking at this.
Yeah, I mean, like we know, you're not out of the woods yet if you're Timber, because I haven't seen the replay, I haven't put one up on our screen that's still working after you tried to shower it with water.
That's George who did that.
Okay, but it had a feel more of an upper body contact, if I'm honest. I mean, Porro's on the floor holding his ankle.
Here it comes.
It's a little bit scruffy and messy in that fullback position. I don't think there's too much there from Timber. He's a little bit high the way he steps into the tackle, but
stepped into the tackle with a high foot, but not with an aggressive.
It didn't have the force.
Not with an aggressive force.
No.
So I think they'll stick with the yellow card
or intention. I mean, he just catches the inside ankle of Porro, who's still laying on the floor, but there's been no treatment in all this time coming on, so I don't know if he's going to get up or he needs a physio, or he's taking his time, isn't he?
Yeah, so while Porro gets up, Porro, not Poirot.
Yes. Used to be on a Sunday.
Poirot, songs of praise. Anyway, it's we've got a stoppage here, so let's see what is happening, if there's any sign of a recovery by Dan Evans in the Davis Cup in Manchester with Russell Fuller.
Not to be, John. Great Britain are out of the Davis Cup. Denis Shapovalov has beaten Dan Evans 6-love, 7-5. So this tie against Canada is still alive, but Britain are out, and Canada instead will be heading to the knockout stage of the Davis Cup finals in Malaga in November.
So there we are. Thank you, Russell. That was always the way that it looked to be heading, and uproar here because Vicario has been yellow carded, and I think the referee Gillett has seen him as the aggressor in the whole of the mass. I mean, it wasn't a brawl, it was a sort of shoving match.
Now let's face it didn't need the reaction, did it? And it's far too much hype for a challenge that went in. Foot's a little bit raised, the ball is there to be won, he's got every right to challenge, but it's just the manner that he goes with the outside of his boot, and it is slightly off the ground and catches Poirot on the side of his ankle.
Yeah,
and it's nothing more than that, and it's a lot of fuss, really.
Yeah, he's okay. Timber's booked, Vicario's booked, and the ball is deflected out by Havertz for a throw to Tottenham halfway inside their own half. Atalanta are actually playing at the moment, and the reason I mention that is that they are Arsenal's opponents in the Champions League on Thursday. That's one of our commentaries. You'll hear that live from Bergamo Thursday night. Atalanta 1, Fiorentina 2 is the latest score. Moise Kean has just put Fiorentina in front in that match. Past the Harry Kane mural on the way here today. Matt scored a hat-trick last night, Harry Kane, after his 2 for England that we saw on Tuesday night, so off to a roaring start, just like Haaland.
He's not in bad form at the moment, is he?
No.
It's good to see him back and fit and firing the goals in.
Yeah, we're very much looking forward to bringing you coverage of all of the British sides in the Champions League this week, and 4 commentaries, and they start 5:45 Tuesday, so it'll be an early finish to drive on Tuesday, because we will be in Bern to bring you the commentary on Aston Villa's first match in that competition since 1982. Young boys against Aston Villa, 5:45. And then Milan, Liverpool that night, live from San Siro. Manchester City, Inter, Wednesday night, 8 o'clock. And then Atalanta, Arsenal on Thursday. And Tottenham are involved next week in the Europa League against Qarabağ, because this week they play Coventry on Wednesday in the Qarabağ Cup, which will be on Sports Extra. And Arsenal with a throw down the right. They've gone for that throw again from White to Saka, but this one comes off the Arsenal man and is through for a goal kick.
They tried to bring it down over his shoulder, but he did get the wrong side of Udogie again. I mean, if you're Mickey van der Ven, you are sharply in Udogie's ear saying, how many times is he going to throw that ball over your head on a throw-in? Get the other side and get somebody in front of you. OK, it's gone out for a goal kick this time, but they've conceded 2 corners from that, which is a key goal-scoring opportunity for Arsenal. They need to stop getting caught out in that fashion.
Tottenham still waiting to take this short goal kick, which Romero does across the penalty area. The official line, by the way, Vicario was booked for adopting an aggressive attitude as it comes back into the Tottenham penalty area, and then Bentancur got the final touch on that. Trossard was in there with him. It is a corner, and that's all come from a Tottenham goal kick.
It's a messy piece of play. For some reason, Vicario's not taking the goal kick. Romero's taking the goal kick. He's got no one to pass it to. I mean, it's all a bit fiddly in and around the Spurs 18-yard box, and they've invited the pressure on themselves.
This feels like a dangerous time for Tottenham.
Yeah. Because
they have allowed I think the whole business with the Porro challenge and everything that happened in the aftermath of that, Timber's challenge on Porro, I think it feels like it's upset their equilibrium in the match. And now Arsenal are organising themselves for another one of these complicated, well-rehearsed set pieces. Saka plays this one in deep across the penalty area, taken down by Martinelli. Kulusevski's got to be careful in on the challenge. Martinelli keeps it, drags it back, still going. Martinelli, Tottenham players all round him, and then Udogie gets a touch in that, is able to take it away, but Martinelli has blocked it back into play as he was trying to clear it. Now it's over on the left-hand side with Arsenal, comes back to Jorginho. Then back to Saliba, who works it to the right-hand side. This is good from Arsenal, very good. Last 5 minutes of the first half, Saka, square, Partey flicks it into the box. Havertz chests it down, comes off Saka and bounces well wide, actually, 4 or 5 yards for a goal kick, 0-0.
Well, Kai Havertz has been very effective with his height and aerial presence in this game so far. From that midfield area, he's flicked so many longer kicks on from Raya into the path of Saka, into the path of Martinelli. He's actually been a problem for Spurs. They're not really competing with him, and he uses his body really well there. As we look at Van der Ven again taking the goal kick, rolling it 2 yards into Vicario, and now it's a 3v2 in and around their own 18-yard box.
And they're in danger of losing it. Van der Ven is shielding it from Havertz in the left back area. That's where it ended up after the goal kick, and then he wins a throw in.
I don't see the gain of that.
How many times do we talk about
I know, it's fascinating, really. I mean, it's such a tight area to play those kind of passes, and especially if the goalkeeper's not taking the goal kick. You know, you roll it inside in front of your own goal, 5 yards away from the position that you are with the balls.
There was a classic goal that was doing the rounds yesterday from playing out from the back, which is one of the worst I've ever seen. Here's Jorginho, and then Bentancur steps in, and Bentancur gives it to Pedro Porro, and then Porro over the halfway line into the path of Johnson. Johnson right side of the area shoots, but Tottenham very effectively there from defence to attack, and Kimber blocked it out for a corner to Tottenham at the other end.
Yeah, they got the pass out from the throw-in, broke the line and were away. That's how quickly Spurs can hurt you with the pace they've got. Lovely slipped pass into the middle of the park. The ball fed wide to Johnson, who likes to really enjoy those open spaces, but good positioning from Timber. Doesn't dive in, just angles him, forces him on the outside and gets the block in.
Into the last 2 minutes of the first half here on 5 Live at the Tottenham Stadium, 0-0. Corner for Spurs, which is headed away by Havertz. Had to stoop forward. Havertz, who is actually, talk about him playing in midfield, but he's actually playing in a very advanced role, and to my eye it's Jorginho and Partey who are like the two, and Havertz and Trossard in a very advanced roles through the middle, as just keeping an eye on Jorginho there, who went in on a challenge with Maddison, but Maddison did well from there, actually, got straight up and gives the ball to Bentancur, and then back to Maddison near the halfway line. The social media post from the Premier League Match Centre on Timber's challenge said it was a reckless challenge but not serious foul play, so that's why it was a yellow card for Timber. Here's Vicario, long from the Tottenham goalkeeper through the middle. Solanke has been closely watched by Gabriel, who almost had his arms round him. Got a foot in on that. Timber missed so much of last season, just 3 appearances. Races the ball away down the left, but Porro played it off him and out of play for a throw-in to Spurs.
He looks good physically, Timber, doesn't he? Very punchy, aggressive player, steps into challenges just like that one. Maybe a little bit over the top in his yellow card, but so far in this game he's been very good in handling Brennan Johnson, who is a handful in terms of pace. I think he's a good addition to that Arsenal back four.
Yep. And with the injuries, I mean, this is only his 7th appearance.
No, he's needed at the moment for sure.
Yeah, in competitive matches. And Tomiyasu's out injured, and Zinchenko now on the injured list as well.
I don't think you could play Zinchenko in this game, John, with the amount of those 1v1s. I think it'd be really hard for him.
I think Timber does look like the first choice, doesn't he, in that position at the moment. Here's Son, edge of the area, Son centrally, and then takes it out towards the right-hand side. We've not really seen him there at all in the game, Son. And right here in the last minute of the first half, in fact 3 minutes of added time have just gone up for the end. We'll have more at half-time on the what sounded like a very dramatic Azerbaijan Grand Prix. That's coming up at half-time. We'll have the reaction. But Tottenham now with Kulusevski. He's into the D, might have a chance here. Lays it to his right, but then a wasteful shot by Johnson, who puts his hands on the top of his head. From the angle, there were bodies in there as well, but he slashed it wide at the top of the near post.
Well, it all comes from a kerfuffle where Trossard's not willing just to put his foot through the ball. He wants to find a perfect pass out from the edge of the D of his own 18-yard box. It's not there. He gets robbed. Kulusevski does really well, slips the ball wide, and then it's a first-time effort. It's a difficult one when the ball's rolling across your body. He's on his right foot, Brennan Johnson, and just lifts it over the crossbar. But at this stage of the game, with 46 minutes into the first half from Trossard, that is a put your foot through it and get up the pitch. Don't need to find that perfect pass at the moment.
Matt Upson with us on 5 Live, one of our stars at the Euros, Matt. Seems like 5 minutes ago, doesn't it, that we
Star
were
of the Euros,
touring. That's what we say.
Slightly over the
top. That's what we say in the media. Here's Trossard now to Saka. Saka across to Jorginho, who's shrugged off the ball by Kulusevski, and that's a free kick. And this is a good position for Arsenal at the set piece.
Who's getting the yellow card? Is that
Kulusevski? And he's going to have a word as well with Van der Ven.
Well, there was 2 challenges because Trossard's down on the floor. And I think he's gone, straight away Jarrod Gillett pointed to the first one and then to the second one where he's given the actual free kick, because I think he maybe played an advantage.
Yes,
would I be right in saying
that?
And Son's having a word with him saying, hold on a minute, there's a foul here, and we've got 2 yellow cards, and he's having to explain that there was an earlier foul, but he's not been shy in getting the yellow card.
He has not. Well, we've had 2 for the price of 1 there for Kulusevski and Van der Ven.
I think the first one is. I've just looked at the first on the replay. It is a yellow card for Van der Ven for me, but the one for Kulusevski is a little bit harsh. A little bit harsh, I think.
He's doing what will, I'm sure, be referred to at the PGMOL meeting in the morning as an Anthony Taylor. After his 14 yellow cards last night.
Yes. Was that a record?
Well, I watched that match on the television and I thought, well...
And there wasn't a tackle.
Wasn't really? I wouldn't have described it as a 14 yellow card match.
No.
But we've now had 5 Tottenham and 2 Arsenal.
Perhaps there were 10 players that just nudged the ball away when they shouldn't have done, John.
Yes, could be one for Poirot. It's a free kick.
Further investigation.
Yes, to be made. Free kick that Arsenal have. And we are now in the 3rd minute of added time. Saka peels away, so it's actually going to be taken by Trossard, which he does now. Plays it into the Tottenham area, takes a flick off a head, might even have been Gabriel's head, that took it out to the far side. Johnson clears to the halfway line, and I think that will be it for the first half. No, it's not. It's fired forward for Arsenal, but through to Vicario. So there have been chances. Martinelli's was a good chance, There is the half-time whistle, a mild chorus of boos. I think that's directed at the referee. Martinelli, big chance, that was saved. Havertz with the header. Solanke, that was a good opportunity. Kulusevski with the early effort. But it's been played at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and all of those yellow cards.
Yeah, I've been engrossed in this first 45 minutes. It's been fantastic, really, to watch, to be here, to sample the atmosphere. 2 teams that I have to say are putting it all out there. They're going in at half-time, and I think pretty exhausted, if I'm honest, John. The speed and the pace and the end-to-end of this game is not settled at all. It's really edgy, loads to play for, could go either way. And it's going to be a fantastic second half, you feel.
Yeah, just lacks a few goals. Maybe they'll come in the second half. But at the break here, Tottenham 0, Arsenal 0.
Thank you, John. I mean, one thing you would hope for, Matt, at half-time is that everybody just settles down a little bit. I mean, there's so much quality on the pitch, but nobody really is having the chance to put their foot on the ball and do anything about it. It's a million miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, saying from a fitness perspective, Fletcher, this must be, a real high-end game. I'm looking at the fullbacks, Ben White, a couple of times. I can see when the mouth is open and you're trying to suck air in, and it's like he's to and fro, and he's getting out to Son, and then he's running up the pitch, and then there's a counter-attack. It's very end-to-end, which, like you say, is not controlled football, but it ain't off entertaining to watch.
The one thing that struck me when I was watching that first half is the two key absentees for Arsenal are exactly players who can try and slow it down for them in Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard.
Yeah, they've got a bit of that composure and calm on the ball, and I think Arsenal just feel more secure with them in the team. They haven't got that presence out of possession to really feel that they can lock things up when they're up and in and around Spurs 18-yard box. Normally Odegaard and Rice and Partey really lock that area up nicely, and they keep regaining possession when it gets cleared. They haven't quite got that quality in there, which is making it a lot more open. And that's why it's just so end-to-end for me.
Yeah, I've got this image in my mind of the Spurs players arriving back in the dressing room and Ange Postecoglou just shouting, faster, faster, do it faster. I think he wants this energy from his team, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's how he manages, isn't it? I mean, I said before how entertaining it is to come here. You don't get a dull game because Spurs really throw everything at it, but some of the stuff, but certainly towards the end of the first half, where one of the centre-backs is taking the goal kick, rolling it 3 or 4 yards inside into Vicario. They're not really splitting. So there's not masses of distance between the three of them, and they're trying to play out a 3v2, then a 4v3, and inside the box. It's like the Spurs fans behind the goal must have the heart in their mouth every time it happens, because it could be great and they come through in a counter-attack, but it can also end very badly as well.
It can indeed. Matt, take a break. It's one of those 45 minutes where the commentary team need a rest as well. 0-0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the North London derby. But plenty of action, plenty of effort, plenty of endeavour. And we're hoping for goals in the second half. Coming up, we're going to check in on the Davis Cup tennis, the Solheim Cup golf, reaction to the Formula 1 Grand Prix in Azerbaijan. And we'll check in on the 4:30 commentary as well at Molineux. Wolves against Newcastle with Alistair Bruce Ball. That's all coming up after the latest 5 Live news with Fraser Dainton.
The voice of the UK.
And the home of the Premier League.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thank you, Darren. Good afternoon. 8 people have died after a boat sank while trying to cross the Channel from France. The vessel, carrying around 60 migrants, broke up after hitting rocks off the coast of Boulogne. 6 people were taken to hospital, including a 10-month-old baby with hypothermia. Steve Valdez-Simmons from Amnesty International says the government needs to do more.
The fact is that the French have for many years, let's be honest, received many more people into their asylum system than has this country. And unless we share responsibility with France, just as all countries should be sharing responsibility with each other, then I'm afraid we'll continue to see tragedies like this.
Ministers say the government is working with European partners to tackle people smuggling gangs. The Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, says the UK is still discussing with allies whether to give permission to Ukraine to fire long-range missiles into Russia. Ukraine already has supplies of missiles from the West, but it's only currently allowed to fire them within its own borders. British officials will be meeting with President Zelensky at the UN General Assembly in 12 days' time. Meanwhile, Mr Lammy has also defended Sir Keir Starmer after he was accused of a breach of parliamentary rules relating to donations used to buy clothes for his wife. The Conservatives are calling for an investigation because Sir Keir failed to declare the gifts on time, though he has now done so. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has warned of retaliation against Houthis in Yemen after they fired a missile into Israeli territory. No one was injured. And former US President Donald Trump has been found liable to pay damages to London singer-songwriter Eddie Grant for using his song Electric Avenue without permission. It's taken more than 4 years to sue the Republican candidate in the US courts over his 2020 campaign video that used a 40-second clip of the song.
Hello, I'm Nihal Arthur Naika, Headliners.
We go deep with the biggest names in entertainment, culture and the arts. And I'm not trying to boast here, but look, it is what it is. Huge guest, the comedian's comedian, Stuart Lee.
I was going to be a stand-up comedian, but I would be different to the others because I would only tell the truth.
Headliners with Nihal Arthanaika. Sunday nights from 8. Or listen on BBC Sounds.
BBC Radio 5 Live.
5 Live Sports with Darren Fletcher.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
So welcome back. Coming up, second half commentary of the North London derby. 0-0 between Tottenham and Arsenal. John Murray and Matt Upson back with us shortly. But first to tennis, and Great Britain needed to win all 3 matches against Canada this afternoon to make the knockout stage of the Davis Cup finals. But that hasn't happened. Correspondent Russell Fuller is watching in Manchester, and Dan Evans did try to bite back, but it wasn't enough.
Yes, it looked unlikely at the start of the day, Darren, not just because Britain had to win all 3 matches, but because the 2 Canadian singles players, Denis Shapovalov and Felix Auger-Aliassime, have been playing so well this week in Manchester. And Shapovalov started brilliantly, winning the first set by 6-0. And there were a couple of opportunities, 2 break points for Dan Evans at 4-all in the second set. He wasn't able to take them, and Shapovalov took the second set 7-5. So as a result, Canada qualify for the finals. Great Britain are out, but this tie continues, and Britain could still win the tie. A doubles will round things off, and walking out very shortly will be Jack Draper, the US Open semi-finalist, up against Felix Auger-Aliassime of Canada.
Yeah, which you say remarkably well. You always impress me when you go through these tennis names. So disappointment in the Davis Cup, Russ, but there could be a bit of British success in the Tunisian Open later.
This is quite a rise for Sonné Kartal. Before Wimbledon, she was 298 in the world. She qualified. She reached the 3rd round where she lost to Coco Gauff, this having had some health problems over the winter. And now she's reached her first final on the WTA Tour, also as a qualifier, and she'll be up against Rebecca Shramkova in Monastir, which is a Tunisian resort. Looks a nice place to be at this time of the year at 4 p.m. UK time. And if she wins, she's not only a WTA champion, but she'll also become a top 100 player for the first time.
Absolutely, raining where I am, so I'd swap it in a heartbeat. Russell, thank you. So let's head to Virginia for the final day of the Solheim Cup, with Europe looking for a miracle comeback. Golf correspondent Ian Carter is there. Any sign of this miracle?
Well, there's it's a decent start for the Europeans. They're up in 3 of the matches out on the course. One of them's all square, and the Americans are up in 2. Nelly Korda's just won the 5th hole to level it up with Charlie Hull in what is a firecracker of an opening match. Megan Kang, very strong for the Americans against Emily Pedersen, 2 up after 4 in her match. Georgia Hall has just made a birdie at the 4th. She's already 2 up against Alison Lee. Brilliant start from the British player there. Alison Corpu's winning the 2nd against Anna Nordquist, so the American is ahead there. Carlotta Saganda is 1 up against Rose Zhang. Esther Henseleit 1 up against Andrea Lee, and we've got Celine Boutier and Lexi Thompson making their way down the first as we speak. So encouraging signs from a European point of view. They've got a 4-point deficit to make up. And also I should tell you, Darren, that Rory McIlroy is still ahead at the Irish Open. He's 7 under par, and he's 1 ahead of Dan Brown at Royal County Down in the Irish Open final round today there.
Ian, thank you very much. So no play in the final T20 international between England and Australia due to rain. One line, Joss Butler's going to miss the one-day series with Australia, which starts on Thursday, and Harry Brook will captain the team. To F1 then, and McLaren's Oscar Piastri got his team's first ever win at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. He was locked in a battle with Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, who finished in 2nd. George Russell completed the podium after Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez crashed out on the penultimate lap. Here's Piastri after getting McLaren's 4th win of the season.
Considering where we started when I joined the team last year, we were literally last, and now we are leading the World Championship. So it's a full credit to the team for the turnaround we've managed to have in my 18 months here. Firstly in terms of improving the car, but helping me improve as well. Results like this definitely weren't possible 12 months ago for myself. So it's a massive team effort, and excited to see what the future holds.
Meanwhile, Lando Norris finished in 4th, ahead of title rival Max Verstappen, and with Piastri's win, that's lifted McLaren above Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship. And you can hear more reaction from the Azerbaijan Grand Prix on the Checkered Flag podcast, which will be available to download via BBC Sounds later. In the Scottish Premiership earlier, Rangers beat Dundee United by 1-0. That result means that Rangers move up to 3rd in the league table and are now 5 points behind the leaders Celtic. There's one game in the Championship today. It kicks off at 3 o'clock, so just about to start. Portsmouth against West Brom, and Chris Wise is watching.
Hello, Darren. The Baggies can actually go top of the table with a victory here. 3 wins and a draw so far. A real sense they're going places under their impressive coach, Carlos Corberán. And do you know, he and West Brom are benefiting from consistency, because this is the 5th league game in a row that he's named the same West Brom starting 11. Portsmouth have had a particularly nasty run of fixtures on their return to the Championship. They're still yet to win this season. John Messina, their head coach, saying the past couple of weeks have been like another mini pre-season for Pompey, and it's given summer signing Josh Murphy the chance to recover from injury. He's making his debut. We're underway. Portsmouth 0, West Brom 0.
Chris, thank you. So Tottenham 0, Arsenal 0. Second half commentary to come with the North London derby with John and Matt in a few minutes' time. But first, let's head to Molineux. 4:30 kickoff. Wolves against Newcastle. The second Premier League commentary of the day on 5 Live Premier League Sunday. Alistair Bruce Ball, part of your commentary team. ABB, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. You were at Southampton yesterday, weren't you, Darren? I spied you down on the touchline from up above, but
yes, I was there in the sunshine. There in the sunshine.
Nice, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was indeed. Yeah, good. Exactly what Eric Ten Hag needed, by the way.
Yes.
What about this one today? I'm going to take Wolves in a second, but if Newcastle can win this today, 10 points after 5 games, they'd be second above Liverpool in the table, and even though they had a disappointing, by their own admission, transfer window, that's going to represent a really nice start to the season.
It's funny, isn't it, Darren? Because even Eddie Howe this week was saying that he doesn't think they've really clicked this season, and I think those that have watched them this season sort of feel that as well. They've obviously had to rejig a bit at the back because Fabian Schär got sent off in that first Premier League game of the season. They managed to get through that game and win it, and have dealt with that with Emil Kraft playing at centre-back in the games in between. They've not quite been as fluent going forward. There's clearly a little bit of unrest, off the pitch, given what happened in the summer and the recent interviews given by Paul Mitchell and Eddie Howe. Yet, as you say, if they come here and win this game today, they're sitting in great shape in the Premier League. So if that's what they can do when they're not quite at it, then I think that's quite promising for them.
Ali, just stay there. Chris Wise has seen an early goal.
And it's one for West Brom. Mentioned they can go top of the table with a win. That's where they're standing right now in the Championship. Portsmouth 0, West Brom 1. It's come inside the opening 60 seconds, and Josh Madger, their leading scorer, has just bashed in his 5th of the season from 8 yards out, high into the roof of the net to stun Fratton Park. Portsmouth 0, West Brom 1.
Now, that's a goal that's not gone down well at Molineux, I can tell you. West Bromwich Albion leading against Portsmouth on the day they could go top of the Championship. What about Wolves? Gary O'Neill theoretically pulled rabbits out of hats last season to do really well, but they struggled into the international break. Is he under any kind of pressure, do you think?
I don't know about that, Darren. I think certainly the only home game they've had this season was the 6-2 defeat against Chelsea, which obviously they were in it for a while, got it to 2-2, and then absolutely fell apart and kept conceding the same goal in that second half to Noni Madueke, sitting in the bottom 3, just a point on the board so far. I think also you have to look back a little bit to how they finished last season. So obviously finished 14th in the table, but only won 1 of the last 10 games. So sort of haven't been able to stop the rot in that sense. Lost Pedro Neto in the summer, lost Max Kilman at the back. So there's a bit of sort of reorganisation going on. So this feels like an important one for them today, particularly given what happened against Chelsea in that home game. Yes, they've won a League Cup game here against Burnley, but I think important for them to to put in a decent performance today, try and get the 3 points on the board, get out of that bottom 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Psychologically so important at this early stage of the season. Ali, good to talk to you. We'll speak again prior to the kick-off. Alistair Bruce Ball alongside Clinton Morrison for full commentary of Wolves against Newcastle in the Premier League from 4:30. Right, let's head back to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. 0-0 at half-time between Spurs and Arsenal. Yellow cards all over the place, running themselves into the ground. Now we need a bit of quality in goals, John.
Yes, that's what we need. Thank you, Darren. Yeah, the Arsenal players are out there already in their all-black kit. and they're in one of their huddles, still waiting for Tottenham, but the applause will tell you that they're on the way, led out by Son, and the rest of the Tottenham players following on behind. And apparently the 7 yellow cards that we've seen so far in this match, the joint most cards ever shown in the first 45 minutes of a Premier League match, following hard on the heels of the 14 in the Bournemouth-Chelsea game last night. Anyway, the teams are out now, and Tottenham, of course, will have to go into their huddle, so I'll run you through their team. Half of these men have been booked. Vicario in goal, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven and Udogie, Bentancur with Kulusevski and Maddison, Johnson, Solanke and Son, the captain. And Arsenal with Sterling on the bench, we might see him for his debut in the second half. Raya in goal, White, Saliba, Gabriel and Timber. And then Partey and Jorginho, Saka and Martinelli wide, and then Havertz and Trossard both getting forward. And chances in the first half, Matt Upson, not a barrel load of them. No. But some decent opportunities.
There were. Spurs had quite a few of those, decent chances. But for me, the Martinelli one clean through, one-on-one with a couple of options to maybe roll Saka in or bend it to the far post with his right foot. That was the real chance for Arsenal that just needed a clinical finish. But there hasn't been too much of that in this game, has there, in every department, really.
So off we go for the second half of the 196th North London derby between Tottenham and Arsenal. And Arsenal in possession halfway inside their own half. It's one of the rules of commentary that you have to mention the number of matches when it's a derby match. But when it's Wolves against Newcastle, it doesn't matter. Here's the ball down the left-hand side. Martinelli on the chase for that. Just keeps it in on the white line. Tottenham fans saying that it went out. I don't think it did. Martinelli, though, his progress was blocked by Romero. But then Trossard gives it back to Martinelli. Low ball across and then diving out to grab it, the Tottenham goalkeeper, Vicario.
Tell you, Trossard, he has got some quality with his passing and his touch. It's a lovely slip ball to Martinelli, and Vicario just gets down on the ball. Like I say, nobody in the box, but lovely pass from Trossard.
And Tottenham then quickly come forward down the other end. One of my images of the summer, I think it was you and I did it, didn't it, with Belgium-France? Did we do that? Anyway,
no.
Belgium-France, when Belgium got knocked out, and Tedesco didn't bring Trossard on, who was warming up and was absolutely, his body language told you how he felt about the fact that he didn't get a piece of the action.
Yeah, he should be, really. For me, I think he's excellent. I really do. I can understand why he's now forced his way, really, into this Arsenal starting 11. Mikel Arteta really sees the quality that he shows. He's very clinical as a technician. I think he's one of the best in the team, and his finishing is absolutely superb. So fully deserves his place in the Arsenal team at the moment.
Tottenham 0, Arsenal 0. We heard from Ali at Molineux at half-time, so commentary to come from 4:30 on that, as Arsenal have the ball on the halfway line, and it's been moved back because it's an offside decision. And the Tottenham fans rightly
miles off.
The assistant is showing us where it should be taken, and Arsenal are taking it just inside their half, enraging the home supporters. Everything will be discussed and chewed over tomorrow night on 5 Live Sport in the Monday Night Club, when Shay Given will be joining Chris Sutton and Rory Smith and of course Mark Chapman. And tomorrow night as well, with Tottenham in action here, as Jorginho is dispossessed by Solanke, and Solanke on his home debut gives it to Johnson on the right hand side. Johnson clips it across, Solanke stoops forward, but in amongst a crowd of players just outside the 6-yard box. Lacked a bit of conviction, but the header did draw a deflection, which means that there'll be a corner to Spurs.
Well, it's a real bit of purposeful play from Dominic Solanke. Robs Jorginho the ball, pops it wide, and then really works hard to get into the box. It gets fed in there, a big lunging, diving header. Very hard to score because he's just in front of the near post, but it came off an Arsenal player. Gives Spurs a chance to test Arsenal's defence with this set piece.
Yes, here they are, taking it short. Kulusevski to Maddison, and then he curls it in left foot, and it's a glancing header that is saved by Raya. Van der Ven got his head to it. He was running across the defenders in the box, a glance on it, but it was close enough to Raya, and it didn't have the power, and he just dropped down to his right and held it.
Yeah, when you're on the move like that, it's a really good run from Van der Ven. You're going to beat your opponent because you've got that momentum. Just glances the ball, but skips up off the turf straight into the hands of David Raya.
And now a free kick Jorginho's challenge on Maddison, and out comes another yellow card. That's number 8. It's Jorginho, the Arsenal captain today, for that foul on Maddison almost on the halfway line.
Yeah, I mean, it's sloppy from Jorginho. He does get done a little bit. The ball bounces, Maddison gets the wrong side, he then clambers. I mean, he makes it look like a bit of an accidental coming together, but yeah, I'm not sure if he's got an argument really, because he brings him down as Maddison's breaking away from the centre circle. Don't think Jared Gillett has too much option of where to go with that one other than get the yellow out again,
which he did. And free kick to the right. Porro now forward to Kulusevski, clips it across, but that's headed away quite comfortably actually by Gabriel at the near post, and then Martinelli wins the throw halfway inside his own half. So 0-0 it remains between Tottenham, who've won 1, drawn 1, lost 1 so far this season. Big win against Everton here, their only victory in their only previous home match, and Arsenal starting the season unbeaten, but having dropped points against Brighton. And next week, next Sunday afternoon, 5 Live, the place to listen to Manchester City against Arsenal, the top 2 from the last 2 seasons. And therefore, that's why it feels that Arsenal probably need to win this.
Yeah, it does. I mean, the draw last time out against Brighton really has put the pressure on this result even more, because, like you say, John, if you draw this one and then you go into City and that result isn't in your favour, I mean, you're talking, what, 8-9 points possibly different then by that stage, which is, after 5 games is a mountain to climb.
Tottenham take the latest free kick and move into Arsenal territory, then go back towards the halfway line. Mention the fact tomorrow night David Pleat will have a special half hour on 5 Live. Bentancur playing it through, Kulusevski with a cross to the back post, and actually Ben White there, not knowing where Son was, even though he was 10 yards away, just popped it on the volley behind for a Tottenham corner from the left-hand side.
There's nothing wrong with that. If you're not sure and you're in doubt, you're that last defender at the back post, then you have to just clear your lines. He just side-foots it out into that sea of Spurs supporters behind the goal that are willing the ball into the box at the moment, with a corner on their left-hand side. It's going to be a right-footed in-swinger.
Yes, they're trying to suck it in. Come on, you Spurs, they shout. The corner comes in, comes off the head of Havertz for Arsenal, who glances it all the way across the penalty area. Van de Ven for Tottenham, but Partey is able to get there first. Played away to Martinelli. Here's Trossard battling for it and does well, plays it back to Martinelli, who plays it back to Gabriel, who then plays it off Johnson, and it bounces behind for, I'm not sure if it was a throw or a goal kick. It might have gone out for a throw, actually. It did, next to the corner flag. So Tottenham 0, Arsenal 0. Yes, David Pleat, special interview with David, because he's got his autobiography out, the former Tottenham manager, a real favourite of ours over the years, working with us on BBC Radio Sport. So 8:30 tomorrow night to hear the life and times of David Pleat with Mark Chapman. I guarantee you that will be entertaining.
I will tune into that.
Yeah, great man, great entertainment. And on the subject, I mentioned Watford and Everton, that cup final in the first half. It would have been, I'm told, Graham Taylor's 80th birthday today. So another great favourite of ours who is much missed. So thoughts with his family, I'm sure they'll be in their thoughts today. Tottenham 0, Arsenal 0. Here is Saliba. Saliba playing it forward for White, and then back to Saka. Just touches it back into his own half. Bukayo Saka started both matches for England, for Lee Carsley's England. I'm not sure if he's here today, is he? I'm not sure. He is here. I haven't seen a shot of him. And so the England interim head coach putting his thoughts to his next squad announcement. And unless something dramatic changes, Lee Carsley told us he's going to be in charge for all 6 of these matches this autumn. And I thought he did well over the course of the week in the main.
Was it bizarre for you interviewing a different England manager and players, John? I thought that when you went down there the other night. I thought it's very different, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but I thought generally he handled himself very well.
He did.
Tottenham 0, Arsenal 0. The Solheim Cup continues on Sports Extra. We're going to go to Virginia in a moment. In fact, we'll do it now because the pass is overhit by Romero through to goalkeeper Raya. So what's happening with you in the United States, Ian Carter?
encouraging from Europe in the early exchanges, John. They're up in 5 of the 8 matches. The Americans are up in 3. It's all pretty nip and tuck at the moment, but Georgia Hall going really well. 3 up after 4 against Alison Lee, and Charlie Hull is edging it in that big match at the top of the order. 1 up after 6 against Nelly Corder.
Yeah, and Rory McIlroy still leading the Irish Open on the final day. Tottenham 0, Arsenal 0. Long ball for Martinelli to chase with Romero, who's got to be careful here, which he is.
I thought Martinelli could have just got on his bike a fraction sooner. He knew that space was there. He just needed to get the drop on Romero there. He'd have got the wrong side of him.
Yeah, here he is again against Romero. Brazil against Argentina. Blocked by Romero. Then on the overlap, here's Timber. Romero goes to ground. Excellent tackle down near the corner flag. And then the throw-in is won for Tottenham by Johnson halfway inside the Tottenham half. 0-0, and still, if you weren't listening in the first half, because Romero actually after that tackle has gone down and he's feeling his hip,
feeling the left quad, looks like, and has just sat down on the floor, feeling high up, like you say, in that hip flexor thigh area, giving it a bit of a rub with his left thumb, but doesn't look too good. I mean, it was quite it was a full-on lunge, wasn't it, to win that challenge down by the goal line. Went to ground, wins the ball, crowd loved it, got up on their feet, got a real cheer, but whether or not he's just tweaked something, we'll have to keep an eye on him. He's back on his feet.
Yeah, just watching him get to his feet. He didn't need any treatment, so he's okay. It's a throw-in for Tottenham, level with the edge of their own penalty area, which is taken up the line and then headed on by Solanke, Dominic Solanke, 27 years old yesterday. David Raya's birthday today, the Arsenal goalkeeper, 29 today. And he is looking to receive the ball now, which he does. Clean sheet so far, that's exactly what he'll want for his birthday, won't it? There's Jorginho, captain in the absence of Odegaard. Jorginho receives it again and passes it forward towards Saka, who was being challenged in centre field. Tottenham have got it back now, and turn. Maddison looks to Udogie, who's still well forward. You know, Udogie showed no sign there of dropping back into position because Tottenham had it inside the Arsenal half. Partey allows that to run quite cleverly, and then in slides Bentancur, and then Trossard sweeps it forward, and Arsenal now with Havertz on the left-hand side, Martinelli on the run, Romero's got to get there. Actually, it's Van de Ven who arrives at pace, the speedy Van de Ven, to put it out for a throw.
That was a choo-choo steam train moment from Van de Ven, covering across. I mean, the moment it got slipped, I think Romero was struggling to get there, but he opened his legs up, and I mean, it's just a different gear, isn't it? When he gets his stride going, Van de Ven, it is a thing of beauty. He covers, it just swallows the ground up, doesn't he?
Yes, the express was coming in from Amsterdam as the ball was crossed from the right-hand side, and it was caught by Vicario on the edge of his penalty area. Tottenham 0, Arsenal 0. So the cricket, I presume, is still delayed. So the golf is on Sports Extra, and back it comes to Vicario, who passes it out to Romero, who gives it back out there to Van de Ven. Such a favourite, isn't he? Van de Ven carrying it forward and then actually asking a lot of Kulusevski, but Kulusevski controlled it, gave it to Porro. Now here's Johnson on the right-hand side, fans on their feet urging him on. Johnson into the box, low crosses, is blocked behind by the man. Not the first defender, he went past Timber, but Gabriel deflected it behind. Corner Spurs.
Yeah, on the whole, they do work very well in stopping those balls into the box. Brennan Johnson one-on-one with Timber, who's done pretty well in these situations. He keeps his feet together because he doesn't want to get nutmegged with the cross, and the centre-back partnerships do operate well there. Gabriel snuffing out that near post, and Saliba locks in with Solanke.
Here is the corner. Kulusevski takes it in, but the referee has spotted something. I don't suppose Romero's involved in it. No, I don't think he is actually this time.
Skipper's chat again.
Well, it's Son and Trossard.
Right.
And Jorginho is no, it's Trossard and Son. That's the issue here.
He's saying, I don't want to have to get the yellow cards out.
Yeah, well,
a bit late for that.
Yes, it is a bit late for that, and the odds, of course, increasing all the time on a red card. And Son and Trossard are still at it here. Here it is, corner actually taken short to Porro. Porro, his cross, that's over Solanke, who turns and chases it out to the far side. Do well to keep it in. He got his foot to it, but it rolled over the white line. And it is a throw-in to Arsenal, which is taken quickly, and then there's a coming together with Solanke and Partey, and the ball deflects out of play. So while they organise themselves, in fact it's a free kick that Arsenal take back towards the edge of their own penalty area. I believe the team news is in with you at Molineux, Alistair Bruce Ball.
It is, John. Grey skies over Molineux this afternoon. Brazilian midfielder Andre will make his first start for Wolves. He's in for Totti Gomez, the only change from the 1-1 draw against Nottingham Forest before the international break. 3 changes from Newcastle after their 2-1 win over Tottenham. Fabian Schär back from suspension in for Emil Kraft. Lewis Hall in for Lloyd Kelly. Jacob Murphy in for Harvey Barnes.
Very good, thank you, Ali, who will have Clinton Morrison alongside him for the commentary from 4:30. Still Portsmouth 0, West Brom 1 in the 3 o'clock kick-off in the Championship. 0-0 here in the Premier League, with Tottenham on the attack, with Johnson again weaving into the area, but then the shot weak on his left foot from the angle, from 15 yards straight at the goalkeeper.
Yeah, they've done that well, Arsenal, because they've got that Jorginho and Partey as a 2 sat in front. Either one of them really does get wide and helps out with the 1v1. The moment Johnson stepped inside there, he had the beat in the timber, but Jorginho's just in there, stepping in, putting him off, getting his shoulder into him, really unsettling Johnson, not giving him a chance to get a clean strike on the ball and have an effort on goal. It's a really good setup they've got with Partey and Jorginho in front. Very different from Arsenal, not as offensive in terms of their press out of possession, but defensively doing a steady job at the moment. I think they're going to need to. This game is really evenly poised, John, isn't it?
It is. If it stays like this, Arsenal would have 8 points tonight, and they would go to Manchester City next week 4 points behind them. Long pass downfield for Johnson to chase, but Raya comes out into the left back position and slices it out of play. There's a gentle little smattering of applause from Ange Postecoglou there for his team, as Timber jumps in and heads it out of play for a throw-in 7 or 8 yards back from the corner flag.
He doesn't give too much away on the touchline, does he?
He does not. He's no Mikel Arteta.
No.
Postecoglou looking for what would be his first win in a North London derby at the 3rd attempt. Arteta's lost only 1 of the 9 that he's had so far as the Arsenal manager. Throw-in taken. It's stabbed out of play by Martinelli, so it's another corner. It's another throw-in for Tottenham. Or is it a corner? Because Maddison's gone across there. I think it did. It must have just gone. Yeah, it is. It's a corner. Yeah, another Tottenham corner. That was a cheap one from Martinelli to concede that.
It was sloppy. And sometimes these moments have big consequences. And for Martinelli and Arsenal's sake, I hope it doesn't.
We're in the last half hour now. Still 0-0. Not too many chances in the second half. Might be that 1 goal's enough to win this, you know. Maddison takes this, and the header is blocked. I thought I saw an arm go up in there as well.
But I think it was a Spurs arm, wasn't it?
Yeah, Solanke, was it?
Yeah. He just kind of like used it for elevation. I think he was jostling while he was in the air.
Here's a cross from Porro. Oh, deflection. And now chance on the edge of the penalty area. Johnson hit the snapshot, but straight into Gabriel. Maddison with a cross. That looks good. Curling in. That's headed away by Partey. And now downfield. This is for Havertz to chase, but he's up against Van de Ven, who was over there like a shot. But Havertz does extremely well. Holds it up. And then Martinelli, who was fouled, I think, by Bentancur, still finds Saka. Left foot, but shot into Pedro Porro. Really thought there for a moment it was going to open up, just as Saka loves it to do, and then Saka receiving it again wins a corner off Udogie.
Yeah, I think both teams defensively in terms of blocks, certainly centre-backs getting out. I mean, Gabriel, brilliant block there again. Saliba's done it in the first half. At Spurs there now. Who's that on the floor? I think it's Poirot who blocked in the midriff area, shall we say, and he's just catching his breath on his knees. It's never pleasant when you get the wind knocked out of your sails, but I think from that perspective, the game's been some really good defensive action, throwing your body in the way of the ball, getting along the line of where you feel the attacking player's going to make that shot, and there's been some real top-class defending in that sense.
There has, just taking a little moment to recover, he is. So a corner, this is Arsenal's first corner of the second half. Spurs have had 4 in the second period, and have had more of the game, must be said. Still 0-0, Arsenal yet to concede. Yet to be behind away from home as the ball comes in, and it's headed 6-yard box, straight into the back of the Tottenham net. Great Arsenal celebrations here. You can see how much this means to them. And off they go into the corner where the Arsenal fans are. What a win this would be. 1-0 they lead, and less than half an hour to play. Tottenham 0, Arsenal 1, Gabriel.
Wow, what a massive, massive goal this is for Arsenal. Huge. And it's just poor defending from Tottenham, really. It's a lovely delivery, but they don't deal with it. For the first time in this game, they've been pretty good up to now. You've always felt that Arsenal were going to dominate this part of the match, and boy have they made it count. It's a big towering header right on the edge of the 6-yard box, middle of the goal. Vicario, for me, is bang on his touchline. He's a little bit indecisive. Can he come through those bodies? I think that might be a big ask, but he ends up just being in no man's land, and it's a very simple header. If he just hits the target from that range, Gabriel, it's in the back of the net, and he makes no mistake. Really good set play, but Spurs will be kicking themselves with that one.
Absolute meat and drink, that. Gabriel, who he's scored some important goals, hasn't he, for Arsenal? Remember him scoring at Anfield last season.
Yep.
And there for a central defender, for a big man in the opposition penalty area, a corner from Saka right onto his forehead, middle of the goal. 1-0 Arsenal lead, and the moments don't get much better than that. No. If you're a supporter of Arsenal, there's a big flag with the famous Arsenal gun on the front of it, right at the section of their supporters. To be here, to be in the stadium and watch your team taking the lead against Tottenham Hotspur, and the celebrations in there are wild now. The Arsenal fans in that section around the corner flag, on their feet, cheering, waving their arms in celebration.
There's plenty of time left, though I will say, I mean, it's always good to score, but I think you're going to get a reaction out of Spurs now. There's a little bit of silence in the ground, but let's see how Arsenal cope. This 5 minutes after that goal is massive. I think Arsenal need to still stay on the front foot. The game plan doesn't change. Yes, you're 1-0 up, but there's a long time left to go. It's a huge goal from Gabriel, it really is.
Scoring it in the 65th minute. And I said, didn't I, about 5 minutes ago, maybe one goal would be enough to win this match.
You felt a set play as well, John. It's just got that feel. Arsenal, I mean, how they've gone about addressing the fact of how important set pieces are in the game, and what they've done last season and the start of this season. I mean, straight away I was watching the screen, they panned to set piece coach and all the rest of it, just as an acknowledgement of how big a deal this is for Arsenal, because every little helps, and the set plays of the game across the season are just massive numbers that can contribute to your goals and not conceding goals.
Well, so high are the standards now, the standards that Manchester City have set, but when they drop points against Brighton, it's a mini crisis, isn't it?
Yeah.
This will get the ship very much back on track. And Ange Postecoglou now making a double change. After going a goal behind here, he's going to bring on Pape Sarr and also Wilson Odobert. So Sarr and Odobert are on. That's Johnson off, so Odobert playing there. And who's the other Tottenham player who's come off?
It was Bentancur.
So Sarr is on to play in that role, so two straight swaps.
Yeah, and I think Odebert's going to be on the right-hand side in front of Poirot. Son is staying on the left. And obviously Sarr dropping into the midfield area.
Double change from Postecoglou. Ball played forward, but it's deflected behind for a goal kick to Spurs, which they take quickly. Vicario. Feels like the stadium here, the Tottenham section's still stunned, really.
It's been rocked, isn't it?
Yeah, they'd had more of the game in the second half. And then set piece, as Jorginho is challenged by the newly arrived Sarr in his own right-back positions, played out to Porro. And Porro hits a long ball. This is for Solanke to chase downfield, but Arsenal, Gabriel gets there first. No messing, just volleys it. Almost comes up to our eye level.
Yeah.
The height of the clearance.
Yeah, he could have got his body in, tried to let the ball run and play it back to Raya, and it looked very nice. He probably could have carried it off, but that's the mindset now. No messing about. You don't want to make a mistake in this situation, so he's happy to see the ball in Rosed.
Throw-in is taken by Tottenham, but Timber plays it out of off a deflection off Porro, so it's a throw into Arsenal, who can now manage the game as the top clubs, well, as all clubs try and do, but the top clubs are particularly effective at this. So this difficult start to the season for Tottenham might well continue here. I mean, they should have won the first match, shouldn't they, against Leicester, with the chances that they had, ended up drawing it. Might have lost it, actually.
I mean, the trouble is there's not too much to come on off the bench and kind of make things a bit more solid for Arsenal, is there? They haven't got too many options in that sense. They've got some options, but not. They're obviously using the players like Jorginho and, you know, who would come on and maybe just settle things down. They're already on the pitch, so I think it's going to be interesting to see what changes Arteta will make at some point, if any.
Tottenham in possession inside their own half, and that time the numbers on that clock, on the massive screens, the massive rectangular screens high in the corners of the stadium, seem to be whizzing by for Tottenham now as they come down the left hand side with the doggy, but the ball into the penalty area, easily dealt with by Saliba, and Arsenal pass it away nicely. White gets it back, Ben White now to Saka, gets another assist. Bukayo Saka with his corner for the goal as Trossard is challenged and fouled by Maddison.
He's going for the pocket.
Well, is it another one or not? It's a free kick to Arsenal, certainly. Maddison has a look at the referee. The referee calls him over. Will be a free kick. Trossard's still down, staying down. I think it's just a free kick.
I think you're right, John. I think he thought about it, but I'm not too sure if it was too much of a foul. I think it's a really aggressive challenge from Romero through the back of Trossard. I think he wins the ball, but he does kick through Trossard at the same time. I think that's what the linesman actually flagged initially, and the referee then gave it. As I watch a replay of that headed goal from Gabriel, really gets up high, and there's, like I said, I think the Spurs had that zonal marking set up to begin with, and they had a few man-to-man, but somebody somewhere's not done their job, and he shouldn't be having that kind of time and space right in the middle of the 6-yard box.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that on Match of the Day 2 tonight. I'm absolutely certain the highlights, Match of the Day 2 on BBC One tonight, or any time on the iPlayer. And Football Daily podcast in the morning. We'll have all of the interviews and reaction from BBC Sounds, which is where all live BBC radio is, and as well as the Champions League this week. Listen out for the County Championship, penultimate round of the County Championship, all of the matches. You can hear the commentary from BBC Radio. Here's Trossard as Arsenal come forward, but a good tackle on him, and Tottenham break away with Kulusevski, and Kulusevski's able to find the ball to the right hand side to Odegaard, and the teenager now, Odegaard into the penalty area. Arsenal men back in numbers surrounding him, and Odegaard in the end is dispossessed by Martinelli, and it's out for a throw.
Some reaction from Arsenal with 4 players hunting that ball down at the end.
Kulusevski though into the penalty area, but again Arsenal men around him. Kulusevski on the ground, gives it to Son, square to Maddison, and then to Solanke, but Solanke on his heels and in quickly with a challenge to clear it away. Out for a throw on the far side. Gabriel, and again the chance goes away for Spurs.
I think they wanted the perfect moment, didn't they? Spurs fans off their seats shouting, just have a shot. I think they wanted Son or Maddison to hit one.
Sar's going to have a goal from distance, but from 25 yards, given the angle. A weak shot that was straight at Raya, who was able to drop forward and scoop it up into his chest.
Yeah, they just gave Arsenal the opportunity to have a nibble and get back in every time there. I think they just want that more instinctive edge where it comes to you on the edge of the box first time, and you've got a line of goal, have a pop. And they've got the quality of Maddison and Son in terms of their finishing and shooting is absolutely top class, but they're trying to roll it and find that perfect angle or perfect opening for the shot. I don't think it's going to exist today. I think Arsenal are defending really well and physically getting out in the face of players, and certainly Saliba and Gabriel have had a superb game at the heart of that defence so far.
They have Arsenal best defensive record in the Premier League last season, despite finishing runners-up, and this season, in the nearly 4 matches now that they've played, they've conceded just the 1 goal, the goal that Brighton scored in the 1-1 draw. Timber now to Martinelli, who's in an offside position, so it's a free kick to Spurs. So Trossard's shirt has been ripped right down the front, and he's just trotting to this side of the field to be given another one so he can go back onto the field. The news from Old Trafford, by the way, there's going to be an inspection shortly to see if the T20 can begin. So the golf, the Solheim Cup commentary continues on Sports Extra, on your digital radio, or via BBC Sounds. 4:15 pitch inspection. So 1-0 to Arsenal here. Away team winning at Portsmouth as well. Portsmouth 0, West Brom 1 earlier. Finished Dundee United 0, Rangers 1. Tottenham trying to do something about this. Ball played to the right hand side. Here's Audebert. Audebert slips it forward into the penalty area. Strong tried to flick it back to him, but Timber was all over that. Stepped in and was able to touch it back to Gabriel, who cleared to the halfway line. Mikel Arteta claps his hands. I actually heard that through the effects microphones as she steps forward, the Arsenal manager. And then Tottenham take up possession of the ball again with Porro way down below us here on the right hand side. Romero then infield towards Sarr, out from Van de Ven to Udogie. Maddison is involved as well, comes back to Van de Ven, and Arsenal very well drilled. You can, from up here, that so easy to see the formation that Arsenal are in. Sarr, middle of the half, then back to Van de Ven and across to Romero. Trossard comes forward, but a little ball to Pape Sarr, and then Son, who's appeared on the right hand side, plays it back square. Van de Ven. Tottenham are going to have to try and find a way through this. Out of the left hand side, in comes the cross, and Solanke in the middle is tangling with Gabriel. In the end, the ball flashes past both of them. They end up on the ground, and all that's given is a goal kick.
Yeah, super positioning again. Gabriel has got his body in. He knows where he needs to be. Gets across the face of Solanke, who, if anything, the foul probably goes that way. There's a big cheer from the crowd behind the goal.
Arsenal take the goal kick out from the back, still with the ball in their defensive third. Raya actually comes into the right back area and clears it away for Havertz.
It's a brilliant clearance
chase,
as well,
wasn't it just? Yeah. And Havertz then forces the throw in, and the Arsenal fans down in that corner greet that as though it's a second goal. Still 1-0. Throw-in taken by Saka. Then Ben White as well. Saka right over there on the far side, uses Thomas Partey, and then infield Jorginho. And what a win this would be in the absence of Rice and Odegaard. Offside flag goes up, Trossard's in the middle, shoots, and it's saved by the legs of the goalkeeper, but the flag had already gone up, and it's Tottenham's ball, and we've got, well, less than 15 minutes to go. Less than 15 minutes for Spurs to salvage something from this.
Yeah, lovely interchange of passing there. Saka just creeping offside. It's a really tight line from Spurs there, right along the 18-yard box, but Arsenal looking for those passing combinations still. They still feel that maybe another goal is needed in this game. They could very well be right, to be honest, John. You wouldn't rule anything out at the moment.
You would not, under now cloudy skies here. Arsenal in position now to win 3 in a row away from home in the North London derbies against Tottenham. They've not done that since the 80s. Here's Sarr. Maddison turns, full of energy. But Arsenal are sitting back and saying, right, we've got the lead. You're going to have to find the quality to get through us. As the ball is, well, that's not it. From the crossover there from Maddison on the left-hand side, ballooned it over everyone beyond the far post. It's a goal kick. And now Jorginho is sat down, and that will further frustrate the Tottenham fans, because we'll have another stoppage.
It was a funny decision from Maddison that got played back to him. He decided just to whip the ball early with his left foot and just doesn't get the right angle or connection. I think there's some action on the Spurs bench as well. Timo Werner, I think, is getting stripped off, and the shirt's coming on from what I've seen on the screen.
Yeah,
so,
he is. I'm leaning over now, and I can see him down there. No sign of an Arsenal change.
Well, Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus as well, just getting some instruction and getting stripped off. Two very experienced players, which you feel this is an experienced moment, isn't it, to manage this game.
And with the various injuries, there's not a lot of experience on the Arsenal bench, but he is going to use it, the experience that he has. So it is Arsenal who have possession and win another free kick. I should say, by the way, Gabriel Jesus is on the bench as he comes back from injury. He is among the substitutes, but Raheem Sterling is there, and we might very shortly see him coming on for his Arsenal debut. What a collection that is, to go from Liverpool to Manchester City to Chelsea to Arsenal. There aren't many who've done that.
No.
But Werner coming on, and it's Maddison.
He's had a quiet game. He's had a quiet game, isn't he? I mean, how many times have we really referred to something that he's had an impact on, John, when you cast him on? I think he's had a different role today. I think he's had to do a lot of defensive work, which is required because of the players, the midfield that was selected, but he's not been very effective with the ball at all.
So Werner comes on, still on loan from RB Leipzig, and then let's see what the reception is like for this. So welcome, Raheem, to the North London derby. Raheem Sterling comes on to make his Arsenal debut with just over 10 minutes to play, and his new team leading here by 1-0. So let's see if this is going to give him a new lease of life. He did say, didn't he, in the video to announce his arrival, "You're about to see the best of me."
Wow.
Well, we haven't seen it, have we, for a little while yet, really. But he did have his best times, as has been chronicled widely this week, under Mikel Arteta, when Arteta was the assistant to Pep Guardiola. So we will find out in the coming months, perhaps get a glimpse today.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big moment for him to come on in terms of the defensive responsibility. Gabriel Jesus already snapping into a tackle. I think that side of his game is top class. The way he leads the line in terms of pressure and tackling, I think he does that extremely well. But that's going to be a big requirement from Raheem Sterling in this final 10 minutes.
Yeah, Gabriel Jesus is on.
Werner's on that left touchline as well, John. So I think Son is now more of a number 10, just playing off of Solanke.
Yeah. So Jesus, his second appearance of the season, having had a little injury. Odobert, 1-0 Arsenal lead. Kulusevski works it. Son leaves it cleverly to Porro. Porro's cross towards the back post. There's no one there in a white shirt for Tottenham, and Saka just lifts it forward. Anywhere will do. And then Havertz has his shirt pulled by Van de Ven, and the referee says play on.
I think they
rather
both,
surprising.
He pulled Van de Ven first, and I think the referee saw both and went, do you know what, play on.
Two wrongs make a right. As the ball in from the right hand side, that's scrambled away. Hopeful shouts for a penalty for the challenge on Solanke, and then Sarr hits a shot from 22 yards or more that was always sailing beyond the post, and it's a goal kick to Arsenal. And again, they'll slow it down if they can, lead him by that Gabriel goal.
Yeah, big shout for a penalty, but Gabriel clearly wins the ball. So it was one of those where Solanke's running across the face of him. He doesn't want to, he just needs to get to the ball first, and I think they both come together. Gabriel stays on his feet, goes fishing for it, makes contact with the ball, and it pops out of the box. But I think the Spurs fans just in need of something at the moment. They feel probably a little bit hard done by to be here. No goals scored. They've had some half decent opportunities in this game and played pretty well, but nothing to show for it yet.
So Tottenham 0, Arsenal 1. Trossard and Martinelli were the players who made way for Jesus and Sterling. Raheem Sterling, the first man to represent those four clubs that we mentioned: Liverpool, Manchester City, Arsenal, and now Chelsea, and now Arsenal, since one Nicolas Anelka. Here's Jorginho, but then given away by Partey, and Tottenham can come again, and hopes rise as Odobert carries the ball to the edge of the area, crosses it towards Solanke, but that's headed away by Saliba, who has been excellent.
Immense.
I think he's heading for man of the match honours.
It's a toss-up between him and Gabriel. Between them, they've been superb.
I suppose, having scored the goal, it might go to Gabriel.
Maybe.
But Saliba would be my choice.
Yeah.
Here's Werner on the left-hand side. Werner playing it across towards Porro. Had to actually check and come back and collect possession, and it's too static this for Tottenham, having to find a way through here. Son tries to flick one forward, Kulusevski, but Arsenal just clear it. Gabriel, then they step forward 3 or 4 yards. This must seem very familiar to you, the old Arsenal drills, watching them. Here's Werner now on the left-hand side. Here's the cross, but that's thumped away by the right foot of Timber and out for a throw on the far side.
What I like about Arsenal there is they're all locked in man for man. There's none of this allowing white shirts to drift between the centre-backs or between Gabriel and Timber with the clearance, but you know, the awareness, you've got to understand that the head movement you need as a centre-back to know where you've got to lock in and not be comfortable just defending space, because space won't score. So they're all really tying in with the Spurs players, making it very difficult when the ball's wide for any white shirt to get the head on it.
More frustration for Tottenham because Bukayo Saka has sat down, and so we'll have another stoppage in play, and actually the medical people have been waved on, so it will be a stoppage here while Saka receives treatment. I mean, what a win this would be for Arsenal without Odegaard, without Rice and others.
Yeah, no Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, Marino, obviously, Calafiori. There's a lot of players there. You know, six or seven players that would be in the matchday squad, and 2 or 3 that would be in the team.
But particularly Rice and Odegaard.
Yeah.
Yeah, any Tottenham fan must have thought in their dreams, well, that has to offer us a chance today.
Well, I think Ange Postecoglou thought that. Just by his team selection, he thought, right, this is a day where we can really go at it, be adventurous, get loads of attacking players in the midfield area. And, you know, it's been a really well-balanced game. But at the moment, the back four of Arsenal are winning the match. They really are, because they've just been rock solid so far, with five minutes plus injury time to go, which will be a fair bit, I should imagine. But they have been rock solid.
That's going to be it for Saka. This challenge that he's received. And Arsenal now, you know, as for all the top clubs, it really steps up. They've got to play in the Champions League this week. Odegaard's out injured. We'll have more on that later when we speak to Mikel Arteta. But Saka now has to step out of the game. I mean, he has walked off the field, but we'll have to see how he is. And so Ethan Nwaneri is going to come on, the 17-year-old. Only turned 17 in March, just his 3rd appearance, his first of this season. And only comes 3 substitute appearances. The little number 53, England under 19 international.
Yeah. I mean, he's a central attacking midfield player, massive talent, really big prospect for the club. He's dropped into a more central area. I think Gabriel Jesus has gone wider, which is the more responsible position, really, to have to track Udogie and Werner between them. I think he'll stay out on the Arsenal right-hand side just to sit in front of Ben White.
Free kick for Arsenal. It's halfway inside the free kick for Tottenham, halfway inside the Arsenal half, towards the left. Set piece that Arsenal have to defend, leading by 1-0. We're in the 87th minute. Arsenal can see the finishing line, but they're going to have to withstand some Tottenham pressure. Here is the delivery in, which was aiming for Solanke, but was headed away. Comes to Son, who's out on the right-hand side. Son, who's being chased by Timber.
He's done well in all, Timber. And the distances. I mean, he didn't allow Son half an inch there. He was on him, quick feet, pressing him, not allowing him to even get his head up.
Son again. Havertz is able to put himself in position. He's also starred for Arsenal today, Kai Havertz, in the sort of floating role, really. Now Werner, forward into the Arsenal penalty area. That's hooked away by the right foot of Saliba. Werner, the German, with his blonde hair bobbing, back to the long-legged Sarr. Sarr slips the ball through the middle, but in steps Partey. And now Nwaneri might be able to take it away. The teenager does. He leaves Sarr on the ground and plays it through to Havertz, who is in an offside position. But Havertz is going to run on through, and eventually the flag does come. And Havertz, having been challenged, has just faltered and made out as though he was going to sit down, but thought better of it.
He thought about it. I think he thought what the repercussions might be. I mean, I think he might have had a tiny bit of cramp, but he just passed the ball a little bit too early there. Nithwari, shall I say? It's not the easiest to roll off the tongue.
It's not. As the ball comes in for Solanke, 12 yards out. Across from Porro, from the angle, from a deeper position. Solanke got up well, but headed it straight at Raya.
Well, they're just a little bit deep, Arsenal. I will say they're soaking up pressure and they've got the capability, but it's a little bit camped on the edge of the 18-yard box. And when you get to the end of the game, you always expect that feel away from home, but you want to try and get higher up the pitch now. David Raya is going to kick this long.
1-0 Arsenal lead, 5 Live, BBC Sounds. Wolves Newcastle to come. What a disappointment this will be for Tottenham. It'll be a second consecutive defeat, going back to the Newcastle match before the internationals. as Waneri, bright and sharp. The 17-year-old finds Sterling for the first time now into the action. Sterling, on his debut, tries to find a position to shoot, but actually came infield and ran into congestion, and Tottenham have got it back, and now Tottenham sweep downfield, and now there is space. Arsenal having to get back into position. The black shirts pouring back. Kulusevski's ball from the right-hand side, but almost inevitably either Gabriel or Saliba are in the right position. This time it was Gabriel to clear.
I mean, how many times have they cleared from that near post area today, whether it be by foot, by head, whatever it is? They're just positioned. They know exactly that zone that the ball's coming in.
Kulusevski's ball in, cleared away by Gabriel. I must say, Solanke, the record signing on his home debut, having missed the last couple of matches through injury, he has struggled a little. Yeah. Here's Sarr, square to Van de Ven, and time really is running out. We're in the 90th minute. We've got less than 30 seconds of the 90 to play. Tottenham 1-0 down. Werner swings the cross in, but Raya is able to catch the ball, fingers up in front of his face, and then drop forward and down onto the pitch.
There's been a nice couple of little moments from Nwari, hasn't there, coming on, the young attacking midfield. Dropped his shoulder lovely there to get the space and then slipped the ball in to Raheem Sterling. It's a nice little glimpse of him in what is a really high pressure situation to come on as a 17-year-old.
5 minutes of added time, 5 minutes for Tottenham to save themselves, and here is Waneri, who's got a little bit of the build of Angel Gomez, who you and I were watching at Wembley the other night.
Yep. Low centre of gravity, quick turn and change of direction, really good 360 kind of movement and awareness, very much a modern day midfield player.
Yes, he was on the bench, came on as a substitute. Lille lost yesterday. Here's Waneri again, he's got space here, just forward and right of the centre circle, turns, thinks about the options infield, then goes back to the halfway line to Ben White, and now Partey, but Partey had it nicked away from him by Kulusevski. Son, Tottenham showing the urgency now. Son across the field from the far side to Odobert down here on the right wing. He's got Porro on the overlap. Odobert just dwells on the ball, then turns infield away from Jorginho. Kulusevski on his left foot goes for goal! That was not far away from the top corner. Raya scrambling, clutching at thin air, but over the bar.
Well, it was a Superman dive, wasn't it, from David Raya? That arm full stretched, diving across the goal. I mean, it is a good foot over the crossbar, but David Raya, I'm not sure he was too convinced how close that was to the crossbar. Threw himself across to the right-hand side of the goal, but didn't need to touch the ball in the end.
Maybe a foot, no more than that, over the top of the bar. Tottenham 0, Arsenal 1. That would have been some equaliser. I'm not sure it would have quite matched John Duran's goal yesterday for Aston Villa, but it wouldn't have been far short. Throw in for Tottenham, 10 yards inside their own half, which is taken back to Van de Ven, now across to Romero. Already 2 minutes of the 5 played.
You've got to feel for the Everton fans with that one, haven't you?
Here's Odobert on the right-hand side. Odobert running at Timber, into the penalty area now, Timber, and then the cross too close to Raya, and again the Arsenal goalkeeper is able just to gather the ball, and he gets a pat on the back from Jorginho, and as well from Saliba, and then climbs to his feet. Arsenal 3 minutes away from, well, less than 3 minutes away from what would be a famous win, and means that they would be up to 10 points, and in this early Premier League table they'd be the top two, Manchester City and Arsenal, and it will be the top two who will play each other next Sunday afternoon as free kick is given. In fact, I think the referee's stopped play because Havertz has gone down. I think he thought it might have been a head injury, so he's going to restart play with a drop ball. But yeah, they're the top two next Sunday afternoon. 5 Live, the place to hear it.
It's an essential win, isn't it, for Arsenal? If they see this over the line, it just had to happen, really, given the start of the season. And I mean, they've started really well, but you draw one game at home and all of a sudden you're in trouble.
Jorginho forward into the Tottenham half, but Van de Ven is going to see it back to the goalkeeper. And in the build-up to that, Manchester City Wednesday night at home against the Italian champions Inter, where Arsenal have got to go on Thursday night to play Atalanta in Italy. Well, that's given away. And now here's Gabriel Jesus, but runs into trouble, runs into congestion. Werner actually stepped across, middle of his own half. Werner gets it back, and Porro and Jesus are involved in a bit of a coming together, but Werner takes the ball away downfield, just outside the penalty area. Romero's joined the attack. Romero gives it back to Hotspur. Right foot shot from him, deflected, but the offside flag was up. I think it maybe struck Werner in an offside position. Flags up, free kick Arsenal. Low fives, high fives all around the Arsenal defence. And we've got 1 minute of added time to play, Matt Upson.
Yeah, for a moment I didn't quite see it was deflected off Werner, and it could have gone in the back of the net. It would have been a cruel blow for Arsenal, but it does strike him and he's clearly in an offside position. And David Raya, quite rightly so, will take his time with this one in terms of placing the ball right by the penalty spot in his own 18-yard box and ushering the back four up to the halfway line, and they will just try and compress and make this compact, put it in an area and try and keep possession or get it into the corner flag in the opposition half.
Be a real blow for Tottenham. Remember how they started last season, Ange Postecoglou's first season, when they didn't lose in the Premier League until into November. That chaotic game here against Chelsea, but they were top of the table at that stage. And then the remainder of matches from that point on, they lost 12 of their remaining 28 league matches of last season. Lost 12 out of 28, and this start of this season they'll have lost 2 out of 4. It's not over yet though. Tottenham, perhaps one final attack. The 5 minutes are up. Tottenham with Porro on the right. It's got a cross, which he does now into the area, but that's headed down and away. Havertz was back in there. Comes out, still we play. The Arsenal fans want the whistle. It's not coming yet. Son turns. He's going to have a go from distance, is he? He beats Havertz. He's still going on his left foot, but then it was charged down by Waneri. Back into the centre circle. Still no final whistle. There might be yet another chance for Tottenham, but it's got to go in, surely. Hotspur coming in field. He plays it square. It's all down to referee Gillett now. Van de Ven 30 yards out. Werner's ball into the area, but overhit that through. Saliba was there. I think his touch might be the last of the match. It is. That's fitting. Saliba and the Arsenal defence hold strong, and one of them scored the winning goal. Gabriel in the 65th minute. No Rice today, no Odegaard today. And that underlines what a great win this is for Arsenal and Mikel Arteta. Great disappointment for Tottenham to lose here. Third consecutive time that they've lost at home to Arsenal in the Premier League. That's not happened since the 80s. Ange Postecoglou just wanders onto the field. But Arsenal, for the moment, they're out on the pitch here at Tottenham. They are containing their emotions, but they will celebrate this. 1-0, they've beaten Tottenham.
Yeah, and rightly so. They should celebrate this. This is a huge team effort, and to be without their two skippers in Rice and Odegaard, I mean, two huge players for this team. Very rarely have we watched an Arsenal team without either one of them in it. It's just a massive statement of the belief of where they can take it to come here in a North London derby against a good Tottenham team that have started the season pretty well, put out an attacking lineup and defend the way that they did as a group, as a back four. You have to credit David Raya as well, the organisation, the decision making when to go long, his execution of that. They didn't put a foot wrong in that sense. Was it the best performance of Arsenal? No, but in terms of making the right decisions and being solid, and the two centre-backs especially, I mean, you could give either one of them man of the match. Gabriel might nick it for his goal, but Saliba was just an absolute rock.
And Arsenal, this away record that they've had this season continues. This season, they've won at Villa and won at Tottenham.
Yeah,
I mean, that is an exceptional start.
Yeah,
conceded just one goal in the 4 matches that they've played, the Brighton equaliser.
Yeah, but not conceded away from home, which I think is fantastic at these two venues, and it's an indicator of how well organised they are. And I'll say it again, the back four plus goalkeeper, Timber at left back, looks excellent. His fitness, his snapping into tackles, his distances on one-on-ones, he's tucking it, like, it just looks really well oiled and organised, and you have to credit the coaching staff and the manager for that, and the players as well. I think it's a top performance, this one, from Arsenal.
Well, you can see the disappointment in the body language of the Tottenham players, beaten by a set piece. That was a problem, conceding goals from set pieces last season, and they are downcast. But Arsenal, their players going across into that corner where the Arsenal fans are jubilant in that section. Really big win, really good win for them. Tottenham 0, Arsenal 1.
Yeah, that's a massive show of strength, I think, from an Arsenal standpoint, Matt, to win there without Declan Rice, win there without Martin Ødegaard. I've got to touch on the set pieces and what a strength that is for Arsenal. Last season, 22 goals, excluding penalties, were scored via set pieces. Gabriel is always the centre of it, and they're just as good this season at converting free kicks and corners. It's such a strength for them.
Yeah, I mean, it could win you a Premier League, can't it? We're talking about all the lovely, beautiful football and systems and passing and what have you, but good old-fashioned set plays play a huge part over the course of a Premier League season. And it's both ways as well, Fletch, in terms of defending set pieces. They're top, they're really, really good. They've got great headers of the ball, and that's a feature of their recruitment as well. You look at the height of the size of the team when Rice is in it, when Partey's in it. You've got Ben White at right back, who's a centre half. Two centre backs are fantastic. Havertz, you've got so much presence physically in the air that they're going to cause anyone problems in the opposition box, and they're going to defend their own box well. So it's a massive plus point for them.
Yeah, you and John have spoken a lot about Arsenal. Let's throw it to Tottenham. The Spurs fans not happy on social media. Justin says, how is it acceptable to lose at home to Arsenal when they're missing their entire first choice midfield? It's deja vu all over again. Nick, who's a Spurs fan, says, when will people call Ange Ball what it is? Knocking the ball around with no genuine goal-scoring threat and then conceding really soft goals. John, though, on the other hand, says people pointing the finger at Andy's utterly laughable. The villain of today is the same villain as our previous two disappointing results. Romero, he's repeatedly completely wandering off and allowed his man to score. First party, then Isak, and now Gabriel. John gave us some numbers towards the end of the commentary. I think it transpires now that it's 14 defeats in 32 Premier League matches, with only, Matt, 5 clean sheets during that run as well. Spurs fans were quite unanimous when he came in, Ange Postecoglou. After Mourinho and Conte, they wanted to be entertained. But days like this, when they lose to teams like Arsenal, what it means to them, they then realise they want success and practicality as well. How does he get this balance, and what's your view of where Tottenham are under Postecoglou right now?
Well, I think you've already used the word there in the question, which is balance, isn't it? I mean, I think you have to be balanced if you want to win something. You can't just be great at one thing and no good at the other. And they're so susceptible defensively that it's a real problem for Spurs. They're not being clinical enough either, which I think is what the real hammer blow is. If you're going to be that offensive and that open and free, you've got to bang the ball in the back of the net, and they're not doing that. I mean, Solanke's having a rough start to life at Tottenham as well.
They needed Solanke to make a flying start. They did, and he had a difficult match, didn't he, on his debut, missing chances. Then got injured, missed a couple of matches. I thought he had a difficult day today as well.
Yeah, he's playing against two of the best.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that I cast my mind back to those previous managers you mentioned. Everyone's talking about, we need to get a manager in that's going to win Spurs something. They need a trophy. They need to win something. Well, looking at that record of the amount of losses in that amount of games, you're not going to win a lot losing that many matches, and the pressure's going to start to build a little bit, you feel, on the manager.
I know, it seemed to me that all of the top clubs got quite kind draws in the Carabao Cup, apart from Tottenham, who've got to go to Coventry on Wednesday, which that could be a challenge, Darren.
Yeah, it is. And I'd also say, fellas, when you look at it, if we were to analyse the Arsenal performance today, the words you would use would be solid, practical, organised. We're analysing Spurs, and we're talking about entertainment, we're talking about front foot football, we're talking about giving it a go. But that Arsenal performance today was built around fantastic play from the centre-backs, scoring a goal from a set piece. I mean, the reality is, if you can't do that in the Premier League, you can't be successful.
Completely agree. I completely agree. And you know, somebody's used Romero as an example there, but that is a good example, because there is one or two opportunities in every game where he just has that switch off. And it will get exposed at this level somewhere along the line. And you compare that to the two Arsenal centre-backs who rarely have those moments. They will throughout the season every now and then. Everyone does. But it's about reducing those to a handful a season. You can't afford to get away with that one a game. It's not going to fly. You're not going to be able to keep that clean sheet or not let in the second goal so you win 3-2. And if the goals aren't pouring in at the other end, you end up with a start of 2 losses, 1 draw and 1 win after the second half of last season, like John's mentioned, a real poor run of results. So
it's not looking great on that front for Spurs at the moment.
No, Nick in Bristol said, when are Spurs going to find a manager that can turn players into winners, just can't convert chances, and this will be their nemesis again this season. And frustrated Spurs fans says, so predictable, depressingly obvious goal to concede. Then we react by taking off Bentancur, brackets normally Maddison too, and bringing on replacements that aren't good enough. If you keep doing the same thing every game and not working on the obvious, the outcome will always be the same. It's not an easy question to answer if you say, is X the best at Y? But if you look at this Arsenal central defensive pairing right now, Saliba and Gabriel, is that the best pairing in Europe right now?
Yeah, it is for me. I don't doubt that at all, Fletch, to be honest. I think together, some of the blocks they made in the first half, the reaction, Ben White gave the ball away once, and Saliba identified it straight away. He's on the gas, he knows exactly where it needs to go, and the way he put the brakes on, not to oversell himself, because good players will then chop the other side as your momentum's going past the ball. He just put the brakes on, came in at the right angle.